Arlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good morning. Thought I'd help you wake up.
It's 6 a.m. and you're listening to The John Kincade Show, Philadelphia's longest-running sports talk morning show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Let the party begin!
The show starts now.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. As we start this Tuesday morning, always a surprise around here. There's always a surprise. I've just got to come to be used to it. That there's always going to be a surprise. I had no idea that you or Connor would not be in studio with me today. What is this, skeleton crew? Seriously? Are we on skeleton staff? No, I'm commenting right now. I said, what the hell's going on? Seriously? They're just like, yeah, you guys just do it. It's ridiculous. What's going on in here? Connor's getting his headset set up, so he'll have some things going on today. Pat will be with us. So what's the story with this, Connor? You're doing the work of three people? Is that the deal?
I think I might be up to 4 at this point.
Might be up to 4?
It's hard to tell.
I heard you yesterday. You did a great job on the best show ever.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Really nice job. That was really, really good.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
It was a nice listen after our golf outing yesterday. Pat, so you got to cover like everything in here?
Well, I mean, I have to do my normal job, but normally what would happen is if Bob was out, I would move in.
Right.
Connor would be on the board.
But I'm telling you, this is there's always a surprise. This is what I've learned. There's just always a surprise. I'm learning about it every single day. So the Bradford White Water Heaters is here for the pro. Bradford White brings you the John Kincade Show's 6 o'clock hour yesterday. We missed you yesterday, Connor.
Yeah, I missed you guys too. I heard it was a great time, though.
It was a fantastic time. To the folks at Turtle Creek and to everybody who came out for our inaugural 97.5 The Fanatic charity golf outing. That
first
was
annual.
Absolutely amazing. The second annual will be next year.
The first annual was awesome.
Second annual will be next year, and it was an amazing day.
Oh, that's what you expect from a first annual.
No, you can't.
Don't get Merriam-Webster started.
We're not seriously. First annual. It's so ignorant. It's arrogant to believe that there'll be a second annual, but it was great yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Really, really good time yesterday. Got to meet a lot of the listeners. I'm a little pissed because Karate Mark, literally just sort of picked up some golf. Looks like he can play a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Sort of pisses me off,
Not surprising.
He's athletic.
Yeah, but that pisses me off. Like when somebody just picks up something and it looks like, well, I figured it out. And he's not, going out there and being great. But it was interesting to see. We had some really good golfers on the course yesterday. Usually a lot of scrambles, you sort of see a lot of more hackers. Yesterday was some really good golfers out there on the course. It was fun to see them.
That's good. I think scramble's better when you have more competitive. I think you said, what'd you say the low score
13
was?
tied for first place, and it went to the scorecards.
Right. I'm happy to see 6 or 7 under in a scramble. That's a really good score. To basically double that up is awesome. So I'm glad people had fun.
And Ricky Bowe's team from our friends at Citadel Credit Union, they finished 12 under. So they were right there. It could have been a 3-way tie. We could have been going to scorecards. And I looked at the scorecards. They would have been going back 6, 7 holes to try to break the tie.
So they broke the tie by latest score where you scored differently on a hole?
No, best hole handicap. Go to the best handicap hole.
Gotcha.
So go to the number 1 handicap. If they tie, go to number 2 handicap. They went to the number 1 handicap, and there was a difference right there. So that's the way it came out. But it was awesome yesterday. By the way, PJs with an amazing spread in the morning before everybody's teeing off at lunchtime, and then Deeks in the afternoon. I mean, PJs and Deeks in the same day.
So it's a strong combo.
Yeah, that was a 1-2 punch that really had everybody smiling and everything. You did not partake of the Arnold Palmer spiked lemonade?
Spiked, yeah, but I would have. I was pumped when I heard about the Arnold Palmer,
and then you figured out,
and then it was spiked, and I don't really do that. So I do like an Arnold Palmer, though.
I do like an Arnold Palmer also. But to me, it has to be 1 quarter lemonade 3/4.
I was going to say you're a big iced tea guy. So.
Yeah, I'm a big iced tea guy, so I got to go the iced tea route.
I'll tell you, there was an upside to me not being there yesterday, though.
Well, other than you getting to host the best show ever, where you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Other than the 18 times it would take you to finally swing a club.
Calm down. I got the
human rain delay, Pat. You're saying
no? He's over exaggerating it.
I played with you. I mean, you're not a fast golfer. You're not a slow golfer.
I'm deliberate about what
you are. Deliberate. Yes, you are.
But I got the opportunity to spend time like how some of our listeners do.
Okay.
Where the people who don't compete in it, I got the perspective of people not being there and what I think would help make the event interesting even more so. It sounded like it went great.
So do you have any ideas?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to give everything away.
Don't give everything away
but
right now.
One thing that I thought about was featured holes social media-wise, where we have people from our social team out there at, 3, 9, 12, 16. And you have the opportunity to either let people playing in the golf tournament make a little video on their thoughts on Rob Thompson, talk about the tournament, put it out on socials there.
Oh, I love that
featured
idea.
holes, and then you put up maybe like Ricky Bo's swing from that hole. And you could see how everybody played the tee box on a certain hole. They do it for golf tournaments, and I think it'd be fun to see that tweeted out on social so you can get a better feel for it.
Okay, that's a great idea. Pat had a great time yesterday. Pat, you were golfing with who yesterday?
I was with Tim Saunders.
Okay, which is always great. Saw Timmy.
Yep, Jen Scordo.
That's fantastic.
Mike Rose.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
the combined height of that group.
I mean,
it was like...
Yeah, as soon as me and Timmy were together, he made a joke of like, you must be this tall to get in this cart.
It was great seeing Tim. It was great seeing everybody out there yesterday. Real fun time. By the way, do we still have openings or not for Friday? For First Friday?
I believe we do.
Okay. I can't find it on the website.
I'll tweet it out now for
maybe.
our show
Why don't you tweet it out just to make sure if someone can still try to get in, because it'll be 8:00 Jeff McClain on Friday.
Wow. Okay.
Which is really, really good. 8:30, it'll be Fran Dunfield stop on by and join us.
Even better. Let's go.
9:00, Taryn Hatcher of NBC Sports Philadelphia will stop on by.
Well, this is an all-star lineup. Who else could we add?
Jen Scordo, and then it's a pretty good hour. The ladies' hour is like special. We have drink specials and things like that. But Jen Scordo and Taryn Hatcher both that can hold their own with any media member in the city. And it'll be fun. It'll be real good conversation with them. And we look forward to that. And Taryn was able to confirm last night. So we're really looking forward to having them in. If you want to get in, if you've never been to a First Friday, probably I think August would be the best time. Because right now, then we'll have everybody back for the fall. So summertime, we've had it go where, okay, the day before, we're getting the last people in. So if you want to get in, get on in for First Friday this Friday.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited for what Taryn Hatcher has to say about the Phillies, being that she's dugout adjacent this year in her role with NBC Sports Philadelphia.
And she does the Birds Huddle stuff and everything like that. So she's right there, too, over at camp. So she's busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great.
A lot of good insight, though.
Okay, I had a couple people asking me yesterday. So I just want to say this that sent me emails. I'm having a thing called neuropathy. Do you know what neuropathy is?
It's something with your nerves.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of the chemotherapy I'm doing, because people are like, you're playing with your hands like Dr. Evil. And my hands are freezing and my fingers feel like someone's putting pins in the tips of them.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And it's really just started to kick up. So if you see me messing with my hands, I'm not plotting the overthrow of the world. With a giant missile, Pat, that looks like a giant, and then they would. What? I still think that's the best, 2-minute bit ever in a movie. 2 to 3 minute bit. Oh my gosh, a giant! And then they go from side. So if anyone's asking me about that, that's what it is. And I explained it to them, but I'm not wringing my hands here, deciding on to plot evil. I am trying to get my hands warmed up. It's just it was bad yesterday. So it was not at its best. So, but what was at its best? The Phillies, before I turned the game on, and I always go, every single game is set on the DVR. That way I can come into it late, fast forward through commercials, and then catch up to it. But I was going to have to go to bed early because I was just wiped, absolutely wiped. So then I put LA and Kevin Stocker on the app, and I listened to them and listened to the game that way. And I was fading in and out anyway. And so I'm fast forwarding through just to see what's going on, and it's 2-0 in the first inning. Jorge Soler takes deep, and I'm going, come on, Taijuan Walker, because I've been a real huge fan. And then he buckles down last night, and that was one of the most promising pitching performances of the year to me from a Philly starter. To go out there and get rocked in the first inning and have to navigate through, it could have been worse, 3-4-0, and then to be able to lock it down and almost, find a way to 7.
Yeah, well, he's been a battler all year. He is a guy that seems to take an inning or two to really settle in, and he might have to slog through those first couple. But when everything's said and done with Taijuan Walker, more often than not, he puts together really strong starts when you look at his final line. You just got to kind of mentally get through the fact that he might struggle early, but he's a guy that's going to eat up innings, big, strong pitcher who just finds a way to put together good starts to his team. I love what he's done so far.
Pat, to me that was as impressive. I know you've been sort of on the Taijuan Walker bandwagon a little bit, especially the last few months. That was as impressive a performance as I've seen in a while from a Philly starter because he overcame adversity.
Yeah, I had the same reaction that you did. Here we go again.
Right.
But then he just, as you said, he just kind of bared down and got through it. And early on, it was, oh my God, after using 6 relievers the other day, they're going to have to dip into their bullpen. And he really saved them from having to use some of the guys that we don't want to see anymore. So kudos to him for just bearing down. Even he made that one mistake, but other than that, you can't really complain about anything he did.
More important, it's a series that I want to win, and you want to win every series. But I really think that it's time you put the Marlins where you go. Okay, the Marlins are going to be behind us, and we're going to move forward. Right now, you wake up in the second wild card spot today, a half game behind the Giants. But if you can't win that series, and then now Alcantara tonight, or Alcantara.
They always hit him well.
Yeah, they do,
and he hasn't had a good season.
4.46 ERA. He goes into the game with a higher ERA than Suarez tonight. Suarez's ERA is up to 4.22. That's just not good. It's not good. That's not a good ERA.
No,
for him. He has exploded in his last 6-7 starts.
I still have faith in him as an overall pitcher. He's just in kind of one of those rough stretches right now. Hopefully he gets out of it tonight. But to Pat's point about the bullpen and everything being used, hopefully you'll have another bullpen arm by the end of the series to use. If Dave Dombrowski does something by 6 p.m.
We're watching. I mean, we're within 12 hours of the trade deadline. And there really doesn't seem to be a ton of buzz around the Phillies. The Phillies are certainly not one of the teams that's being buzzed about. And I think you can forget about, unless there's total subterfuge, you can totally forget the stupid Juan Soto stuff. They weren't trading Juan Soto.
No.
The Padres weren't trading Juan Soto. So Sports Talk Radio in Philly did 2 weeks on Juan Soto. Thankfully, we did not. Of Juan Soto. You're making stuff up.
Whoa!
I stopped. Making stuff up and just throwing poop against the wall and being let's just make deals up. They're not dealing Juan Soto. So and yet they're also not dealing Ohtani's not going anywhere.
No.
So what do you got? There's nothing today.
Well, there's something today.
What?
There's still guys out there. Adam Duvall was out of the lineup last night for the Red Sox.
And that's the one that I've pointed to Adam Duvall for a month.
There's some
that's the guy.
Solid bullpen arms still available. There always are. There's a bevy of those guys on bad teams.
You don't think it's a little picked over?
Yeah, it is.
I think that it tells you something. We're going to get into this discussion a little bit more coming up in the hour, but it seems like a picked over basket to me.
Last year was kind of picked over when the Phillies went out and got guys. Seemed to work out all right. I hate to do the whole, last year worked, so do the same thing.
Yeah, please.
But at the same time, they got a starter who helped them, a center fielder who we love in Brandon Marsh, and a reliever who looked really good, who got hurt, but still, I still think there are options out there to improve this team.
And when you asked me if you had asked me last year, trade deadline day, and being completely honest, I knew where Brandon Marsh played because I watched him play high school football. I didn't know anything about him, whether he was a viable answer. I didn't see that one coming. And Pat, I know that it was the day that you saw Mickey Moniak exit.
Yeah, Mickey Moniak went for this in Syndergaard for the Syndergaard move and give up a hobby for Marsh, and it was a situation of both guys probably needed a change of scenery because they both were former top prospects who hadn't really made any waves with their current club.
Would you take it back?
I probably would not, even the way that Moniak's performed out in LA, only because I think Brandon Marsh fits in better with this team. And I really do believe that they both needed a change of scenery.
Would you take it back, Connor?
Absolutely not.
So you wouldn't?
I think Syndergaard.
I wouldn't either because I don't believe 2022 happens without Marsh.
Yeah, or Syndergaard.
And Syndergaard's another one, yeah.
He wasn't an impact guy, but he was a steadier, and you need that. Like,
see what happened last night to him?
Yeah, he got hit with a line.
He's pitching a gem and gets hit with a line drive and has to leave. He was all going to go like 6 or 7 in his debut with the Guardians.
Welcome to Cleveland. That place is sports hell.
Oh, my gosh. So Phillies win. That's good. We'll talk about the Phillies in the trade deadline day. We are now 11 hours and 44 minutes. Pat Egan has been told he's breaking in at any time. If he hears a juicy rumor, if there's a trade that goes down that involves the Phillies, he's to literally say, "John, shut off your mic."
Oh,
we're gonna
well, in that case,
there you go. Wait a minute, you can't just make crap up.
He's going to hear a rumor every 5 seconds.
Absolutely,
make crap up.
You can. It's trade deadline day. You can make crap up all the time. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, believe me. There's been shows doing it for weeks. Hey, Jason Kelce was the first Kelly Green jersey to sell out. Makes no sense to me.
Why not?
Because Jason Kelce doesn't wear Kelly Green. It just doesn't make sense to me. I thought the Kelly Green was going to be people grabbing it for the legendary players of the franchise.
No, I thought Jalen Hurts would be the first jersey grabbed,
and he wasn't, which is surprising to me. Like it was surprising that Kelce was the one that sold out. I mean, the Philly fan base really showed out yesterday. It made SportsCenter. It made there's in the SEC there's that ad campaign. It means more. It means more here. And anybody who tries to deny it or say, "Oh no, there's a lot of great NFL." Yeah, there's great NFL towns. There's few NFL towns like this one.
Yeah, you people are insane. Like, in the best way.
That was the best.
I don't mean it as an insult, but we're unhinged when it comes to this football team. Tailgating, Kelly Green Jello shots. To just go into the pro shop and buy a jersey and go home. Amazing stuff from the Eagles fan base.
I mean, that was a wild. That was really, really wild.
Yeah, it's great.
And that was awesome. Bell and the Birdman, by the way. Fantastic. Was the ones that sort of set up the whole idea of let's have tailgating, let's have the whole thing. It was awesome. Seeing people in line. Then our own Silvana was out in Cherry Hill, and she was in line, and she got Liv her jersey. So we're all set with that. And then she was with you yesterday.
She was running the board, did a great job.
It was good with you and Tom.
She was wearing a new jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, she was wearing her new one yesterday?
Yeah.
See, I didn't get to see it, so I was driving.
Yeah,
but
they were on in the
oh, that's
the bar
awesome.
where I was
It
at.
looks quality.
Oh, it does
those
look
are
quality
jerseys. They did a good job.
Someone told me that they look fluorescent. Did you? Now, me being shade blind, as Pat says, how can you? I can't tell. But someone told me that they look a little fluorescent. Like they look a little brighter, like the Kelly Green. I don't know. But hopefully everybody had a great time. It looked like nobody had a problem buying them. So everybody's out there with it, which is great. Hey, save big with the Fanatic's deal of the week. Get a $100 point card to Arnold's Family Fun Center for just $50. Located in Oaks, Arnold's Family Fun Center is one of Pennsylvania's premier indoor entertainment venues with 200,000 square feet of action-packed adventure. Fun seekers of all ages are going to enjoy it. Check out this exclusive offer now at the Fanatic at 97.5thefanatic.com. Keyword deal. And we look forward to seeing you out on Friday for First Friday, too, if you want to be a part of that. You know that the BetPark Sportsback app has you covered with odds, bets, slots, and games all coming together in the palm of your hand. You got to be 21 in Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Ohio if you have a gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. The trade deadline, 11 hours and 41 minutes away. Are there any real legit rumors surrounding the Phils? It doesn't sound it. So what's going on? John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
The John Kincade
Great time yesterday at the inaugural 97.5 The Fanatic Charity Golf Classic, which benefited the AACR. And again, I want to thank the folks at Citadel Credit Union for that nice big check, too. Big check, literally and physically. So, and $5,000 check to sort of jumpstart some of the fundraising for the day, which was absolutely awesome. Thank you, Citadel Credit Union. Appreciate you very, very much for that. And we had a good time yesterday. Haley and Dylan both working the crowd yesterday and out on the golf course. Dylan, Pat, I got to see Dylan on the course. I did not see you. Dylan just needs a little bit of work, and he can turn not very good into passable. Like he's getting there. He's getting there. How did you feel you swung him yesterday? I'm sorry I didn't get to see you.
Not great.
You didn't like
the only club I can hit is the hybrid you gave me.
Right.
And that's
but you were having some success with that?
Oh yeah, I was all right with that. But no, not good.
Not really.
No, every shot I hit was going to the right.
Everything going. Well, your footwork, there's all kinds of things that can work. Now, I got to tell you, Cousin Matt and my buddy Joe and their team, Mark, my next door neighbor, and father from over at St. Charles, they sort of crashed and burned. I saw him in the parking lot, Matt. And
we had some words.
You did? You did gave him a little lip? Good. Gave him a little lip?
I asked how he shot him. He said 6 under.
Terrible.
And I said, and he asked how I shot him, and I said, 7 under.
See?
Because I figured there was no way he was going to be able to figure out my score.
Right.
So I had to one-up him.
Did he go and find out later? Or not?
No, probably not.
He's probably not listening.
Doesn't have that power.
Either. He's not listening now, so it worked out well. Trade deadline less than 12 hours. Pat will check in if he sees anything come across. I don't see the Phillies involved in any real viable trade rumors. But, Pat, I don't know that that's a bad thing or a good thing.
Well, the last one I saw was Teoscar Hernandez from the Mariners.
Does he do anything for you? And they traded last night, by the way. They made a trade last night, so the Mariners have clearly said they're moving towards next year. It seems like the Mariners are always talking about next year.
Yeah.
I think they have a great shot to get Ohtani.
Oh, I think so, too.
I think Ohtani may end up a Mariner.
Yeah, I really do. Their GM kind of commented on that. I mean, he didn't tamper, but he was asked about clearing up some space.
Yes.
Maybe going after a high key free agent, but
because Seattle's 4 games over 500, they're not a bad club, but in the wild card race right now, they find themselves 3.5 back of the last wild card, and it appears that they probably are in that not seller's mode, but just tweaking mode. I think if I guessed right now, I would say Ohtani is a Dodger, is a Mariner or a Dodger. I'm going Mariner or Dodger.
I would guess Mariner or Angel.
Back to the Angels, eh? Where would you go? We have 2 guesses right now, Connor.
I'm going to guess either the Mets or the dark horse here, Orioles.
Mets or Orioles?
Yes.
I just don't see Angelos. It's Peter Angelos still owns them, right? I guess. Last time they were relevant. I don't see them spending that money.
I think what they're doing this year is going to really put the pressure. Great fan base down there. Enough of a market. And I think the pressure that they're going to put on that organization by how much they're winning this year is going to push them into considering it.
It is a great fan base when they're winning.
And they're winning.
That place is a ghost town when it's not.
Yeah, but that also lends to, Citizens Bank Park was a ghost town for
so you really
7 years.
You go Mets, Orioles?
I do.
Wow. I do not. I do not see him being east of the Mississippi as far as Ohtani.
We had that talk the other day. We disagree on that. I think he's going to the East Coast, but it's very interesting. Who doesn't want him? That's the cool thing, right?
No.
It's not like where does he fit? He fits anywhere. It's going to be so interesting.
You think the Phillies will be in on it or not?
Absolutely. Why
you
wouldn't
really
they
do?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I do not think either.
Nah, I think he's too much.
Yeah, but they'll still be on it.
You've already spent too much money on the bigot. You've tossed out so many big contracts. There's no way.
I'm not wearing Louis Vuitton, but if I walk by a Louis Vuitton store, I'm going to look through the window.
Oh, you can look. It's not going to be viable.
And having the amount of money to pay for it is 2 different things.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get him, but I do think that they're going to be in the conversation.
Are you talking about like one of the finalists?
I don't know. I think we will hear at some point, the Phillies are talking about what they would need to do to sign Ohtani.
I do not believe they think it. You can't do it without unloading. You would have to unload Castellanos or Schwarber, and I think you'd have to maybe unload Trey Turner.
No, you wouldn't have to. I know, but one of the first guys, yes.
You'd have
Turner,
to.
no.
Who's taking one of their contracts?
Someone would take Castellanos after this.
I mean, you'd be paying it. You'd be doing what Cohen's doing.
Yeah, but to get
In New
Ohtani,
York.
I mean,
yeah, if it was the case that somebody was willing to do that, you'd be willing to have that. I don't see the Phillies though in any. They're not in the mix as far as anything. First of all, I don't really see. This looks like a lame trade deadline. And Pat talked about it yesterday. Is that the 6 o'clock thing? They're trying to make it big and everything. It seems like a very lame trade deadline.
It does seem like it's kind of getting to that point where we're going to be sitting there going, really? That's all that was moved?
Yeah, unless we're going to be surprised. Do you believe Dave Dombrowski, Connor's going to surprise us?
I do. I have a lot of faith in the guy.
Do you think well, I do too. I'm wondering if he just looks at this team and goes, they're not special. This group isn't special. They are mediocre as grits, as people will tell you in the South. Mediocre as grits. They're bland.
They're not.
They are not. They are, though.
They're playing like it, but they're not.
Well, how you play is what matters. That's what you are.
How you play is what's mattered to this point. But if you're Dave Dombrowski and you can talk yourself into this team being talented enough to win, then they're not mediocre.
I think Dave Dombrowski knows they're good enough to win.
Then why wouldn't he do something?
Not. But this team has shown you through 110 plus games, whatever it is, they've told you they're not. That they're not that team. They have 56 games left. I mean, it's enough kick the can of they'll come around. They'll come around. It's going to be this team is who they are. It's August 1st today.
And that's why you go and get guys to change who they are.
What does a bat, you go get a bat, what does that change Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, all these, it doesn't change them at all.
If it's a left field bat that you trust more, it changes the lineup. Like, let's say you bring in a guy who you trust in the 2 spot. Now, I really like Alec Boehm in that spot, and he looked good there last night. But let's say you bring in a guy who could bat in the 2nd spot, and then you could bump everyone down who's struggling. Like, it changes the whole face of the lineup. So things could, like, we didn't think Brandon Marsh was going to change his team that much last year.
That is correct.
And I know he batted near the bottom of the order, but he changed them defensively. He gave them something more at the bottom of the order. We didn't think that was going to happen. He played a big part. Like, you don't know how it's going to change until you bring these guys in.
The problem is, though, a new bat is not going to make Castellanos stop playing Topgolf when he's up there at the plate, batting like 110. I mean, it's not going to help Kyle Schwarber be able to get his batting average even close to 200.
Well,
it's like it doesn't. All these things don't affect your big name contracts, big money guys. Trey Turner, horribly. You have 3 of your biggest money contracts that are doing jack.
The Schwarber thing I disagree with you on, because if you're bringing in a bat, he's going to play left field. And that means Kyle Schwarber would be looking at a lot more time at DH.
What does that mean, though, as far as his batting average and as far as production?
He's running around the outfield less. His body feels better. He's focused on his at-bats more. I mean,
you can make that argument.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of fringe benefits that we're not going to realize until a couple weeks into new players being here, that we say, oh, good thing that he did that, even though they aren't splash moves.
I always like this, Google or no Google. Pat, you're the weird one because, and I say that with the greatest respect.
I mean, I didn't want the audience to know.
A trade will come down, and I promise you this, is that for the most part, Bob and I will be Googling the player that I think the Phillies today, that it will be a Google trade deadline. I will be Googling the statistics and everything because the Phillies will go get somebody off the bargain bin. That doesn't mean it's not bad, but it will end up like Brandon Marsh last year. I just happen to know Brandon Marsh. We have the same financial advisor, which is really just a weird coincidence. I know Brandon Marsh, but I didn't know Brandon Marsh's. I couldn't have told you. If someone had said to me, is Brandon Marsh hitting 260 or 240? I couldn't have told you. I couldn't have given you any of that information. I think that's going to be this kind of day. I'm going to be Googling the guy that they go get. And saying, okay, I can see where that fits, especially with relievers. You could give me a bunch of relievers.
Relievers for sure.
I mean, relievers, they sometimes have like 5 and 6 teams on their resume.
Yeah, and even if you have a name recognition reliever and you go, all right, I recognize that name.
What's he doing this year?
I know he's been all right. You'll look at his stats this year and he's having his off year. Relievers are so tricky.
See, but you have a bibliophile's ability to do this. Like, you'll know. If they pick up a reliever, you'll know a ton more than I will about who the guy is or what he's doing this year for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm weird.
Psychopath.
As you said,
I think it's good.
I look at box scores quite a bit.
Yeah,
so
you look at box scores.
Try to keep up with what's topical.
Will we have a splash, Connor?
No.
No splash.
Nope.
Will we have, if I set the players acquired at 1.5?
Oh, over.
Pat, over?
Over.
Okay, then tell me this. If it's 1.5, who are you taking off the roster?
Oh, good question.
Because you got to take 2 guys off the roster then.
Well,
You're telling me it's over. So take a look at the roster, contemplate it a second, and tell me who's exiting. Because I'm trying to figure out who they're taking off the roster.
Dylan Covey.
Yeah, that was the first pitcher that I thought of.
Jake Cave or Josh Harrison.
Nah, it'll be Cave.
Yeah, I'm just putting Harrison in there.
They can't quit Harrison. I have no freaking idea what the fascination is. I honestly have no idea.
He's a versatile infielder. Man. I mean, they already kind of have that with Sosa, but they've had to use Sosa more than they probably wanted to.
And watch, Harrison's going to come up with like 3 clutch hits to help them, make the postseason.
Yeah, so
it'll end up being like, remember Josh?
Let's call it Cave and then another reliever. Take your pick. Well, no, another reliever in addition to that, because I think they're also going to add a starter, and then I think they're going to move one of the starters to the pen.
So you think they're going 3?
Yes, I do.
Wait a minute. You're going 3?
Yes.
All right, so Yuniel Marte. See ya.
Wow. I got to tell you, I'm not sure that they. I just don't see it, and it tells me if they do go 3, that's really like not like to me. You're. Well, I got to trust Dombrowski.
Yeah, they did 3 last year. Position player, starter, reliever. I think that's the same blueprint for this year.
So you do believe that's what we're looking at. When do you think we'll see our first move?
5:59.
No, you don't think this is going to be, you don't think this is something that's going to.
No, I think it's a late flurry of moves at like 4 o'clock.
Because it's 6 o'clock thing. They're really trying to make this a thing, Pat. They're trying to, the big, don't want to miss any of it today.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to your TV. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't really like it.
Like they're making it out. MLB Network's making it out like you're going to be on the edge of your seat waiting for these moves. And I'm like, who's being moved that any fan is on the edge of their seat?
I don't necessarily blame them for doing what they're doing because they have had success in the past with kind of following a trade deadline. The NHL does a similar kind of thing, but once again, it's a 3 p.m. deadline. It's not a 6 p.m. deadline. So I think with Major League Baseball, they did the same thing with the draft. Like they saw what the NFL did. And they tried to make a spectacle of the draft. And they're trying, but it's just not the magnitude of the NFL draft, and it never will be. So they're trying to kind of make these events bigger than they are. And I don't have a problem with that at all. The 6 p.m. deadline, I feel like you're taking more eyeballs off the product because people are busy. They're coming home from work. They're getting dinner. They're trying to put the kids to bed or getting them ready for at least. Like the 3 p.m. deadline was oddly more easy to follow than a 6 p.m. deadline. 3 p.m., that's the point of the workday where no one's actually working, but we're all going to pretend we're working.
Right.
We're all in Zoom meetings, but no one's actually paying attention to the speaker. 3 p.m. was a golden hour for paying attention to the draft. But this 6 p.m. crap sucks.
I think if you watch the ad, you'll be on the edge of your seat waiting to see who's coming to your team. Do they make the difference of them winning the division or a world championship? And
why does it sound like a bad
Because that's the
guy?
voice. That's the
was
voice.
like the action movie.
It's like that's what it said. You're going to be sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for the trade deadline. I'm like, yeah, what, to like pick up a fifth reliever? Are you kidding me?
Here's the big issue with that mindset that they have of, you'll be sitting there watching glued and all of a sudden, the MLB Insider pops in with the breaking news. The MLB Insider already tweeted it.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can sit here and watch the trade deadline show that they're going to have and all the pomp and circumstance. But if you're just on Twitter, you're probably going to find out well before the viewer of that trade deadline show. So you're really just watching the trade deadline show to hear the experts break down what your team is getting in that, which you could do what we just talked about. You could just go to Google and probably figure out if this guy's having a good year or not, Where does he fit? How old he is? The contract. By the time that you've looked all that up, they're just announcing the trade.
Exactly.
In this trade deadline show. So, look, I like the idea of them making a thing of it. I just think it's not well executed.
I think
we should probably call it the process.
I think ESPN will do a better job of it than MLB Network does.
Oh, I disagree with that.
See, I don't, because MLB Network will try to make it much bigger than it is.
Well, yeah. But
and
I think
because
MLB,
they're trying to sell their product, so they overhype everything.
I think MLB Network's baseball people are just better. So the inside,
Who do you like the best?
I really
DeRosa? Or not?
Who? DeRosa?
Do you like Mark DeRosa?
I don't mind him. I think he's a little arrogant at times.
I think he's going to be a manager next year.
John Casey was good until he, got hired. ESPN lost me when they cut ties with Stark.
Right.
It was like
at that point you're like,
yeah. I mean, I love Jeff Passan, who's on ESPN. I think he's one of the best writers. But in terms of like baseball insiders, when you got rid of the preeminent baseball insider and Jason Stark, you kind of lost me a little bit. Now they do have some good people over at ESPN. Like Buster's really good, and as I said,
and
Jeff Passan. But Tim Kirchin's great. But I'll usually skew towards the MLB Network, just like I'll skew towards the NFL Network when it comes to the NFL draft. And I'll skew to the NHL Network when it comes to the NHL draft because they have a vested interest in it.
See, I go away from the NFL draft with the NFL Network.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't really have a preference on any of these things.
Do you like the baseball MLB Network?
Sure.
I think DeRosa's going to be a manager next year.
Yeah.
Some team is hiring him as a manager.
I mean, I read stuff from people and I read tweets, but I don't really watch a lot of TV breaking news because, like Pat said, it's already been on social for 10 minutes by the time anyone gets on TV.
I don't want to see DeRosa end up the Mets manager. And I think they could trade. I think they could move on from Buck Showalter.
I think they should.
I think they should. I don't know if they will, though.
I do not want to see him. I don't know if they're going to move away from him, but I do not want to see DeRosa end it because I think DeRosa is going to be a good manager.
Yeah, it just feels like, with all my Mets hatred, but it does feel like it's only a matter of time before somebody gets in there and gets that team kind of clicking.
Yeah, and I think I observed him a ton in his career and got to know him a little bit. I think he's going to be a hell of a manager.
Yeah, I think they had one in Carlos Beltran, and then the whole Astros thing broke and took him away, and I think that really helped the NL East.
Maybe he shouldn't have cheated.
Maybe he shouldn't have.
Bastard.
You ever think of that, Connor?
I'm not pro. I'm happy.
You're all Beltraned up.
I'm happy he didn't get the job.
What
the Beltran? You're just basing it on. You think that a relatability,
Yeah, he's just always struck me as a very collected guy who played the game at a high level. I really like his demeanor, and I thought when they got him, especially a guy who played in that city and understands the market, I was like, ooh, they might have gotten a good one.
And I think that is part of it, is understanding the market.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. Like, DeRosa, I promise you, could work here. Yeah. He would absolutely work in this town. Obviously, he's a Jersey guy, but he would work in this town. I got to tell you, though, Father, it's gonna as long as Uncle Rob makes the playoffs, they're not getting rid of him, as we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, I think we're all lockstep with that.
In for another year of knocking our heads against the wall.
We're in for another year, and he doesn't have an extension.
Yeah, he has one more year.
Signing him to a 2-year deal might have been the best thing that Dombrowski did, not giving him like a 5-year contract.
Right. Yeah, because it really was that short.
It won't cripple you if you move on from him this year, and if he ends up making the playoffs this year and he goes into next year, it's like, okay, well, it's not the end of the world because they can fire him at any time.
And one of the things, too, is I look at the Phillies' history, and if you just go back, 80, Dallas Green takes over. He's a guy takes over in 79 as an interim, then wins a World Series. They go in 83, they fire Nick Leyva, bring in Paul Owens, interim. He goes to the World Series. 93, Fergosi comes in the year before. He's in an interim, and he comes in, takes over. They go to a World Series. And it sort of seems like this organization has that history of going with guys that are...
Yeah, they should fire a manager every year.
Yeah.
They should just go interim every October, and they'll just go to the World Series every year. I'm good with that, Johnny.
Pat does not like certain things about golf tournaments. I can tell you. So he's going to have some of that coming up for us. And I want you to know that Pearl's black ripe olives have nothing added but sea salt and water. So there's no artificial colors or preservatives. For quality you can trust, look for the sunny yellow can at your local grocery store. Pat wants to know, who would you want to golf with? I have a feeling this may go sideways. Looking forward to it.
In Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hopefully your Tuesday morning is off to a great start. You know that Dominion National offers dental and vision plans for everybody starting at under $8 a month at teethkeepersave.com. Go to teethkeepersave.com and enroll today. Riley, quiet last night, Pat?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
I don't mean to be giggling at you, but he's a little spark plug, isn't he? And
That's one way to put it.
He just colicky or something?
I don't know. He just doesn't. He's just
more difficult than.
Yeah, he's a pain.
Did you? I was watching a couple on the national news last night that they had these actor spokesperson on, including the nanny. I don't know if you remember Fran Drescher.
Yeah, Fran Drescher.
And Fran Drescher's going, the use of artificial intelligence to replace people in their jobs is absolutely unacceptable. We should not have scripts being written by artificial intelligence displacing talented writers and blah, blah. And she's on this megaphone. And I'm saying to myself, has Fran Drescher lived in a freaking cave for 20 years, 30 years? People have been having their jobs taken by artificial intelligence. Our industry, Pat, has had people replaced by voice tracking and stations running the same show on like 200 stations. I mean, this is something that's not new. Yeah, artificial intelligence.
It sucks. I don't blame her for saying it shouldn't happen.
That it shouldn't happen?
Yeah, I don't like that it's happening in our industry.
No, it's not good. But the thing is
so why are we complaining about her saying it?
But it shouldn't happen?
Yeah, I would like to think that it shouldn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the idea
I like to think people can make a living.
Yeah.
In industries, and it wouldn't be a computer.
So they should have. The computer should be. I'm trying to find the resolution. So the computer technology that we have should be banned.
I didn't say that.
Okay, well then what would it be?
I think you don't voice track. You hire somebody.
Okay, but they have technology to do it. I mean, I know it sucks. It sucks. But the thing is Fran Drescher's acting like this is something new. She's acting like this is something that's, oh my gosh, it's just busted onto the scene. People have had their jobs replaced by artificial intelligence for 3 decades, 4 decades maybe.
And it sucks.
I understand, but she sounds
I don't care
like
if she acts like it's new or not. It sucks. It doesn't take away from the fact it sucks.
By the way, it's better than there can be better writing.
Yeah, maybe.
Like right now there is a show that I enjoy that has the regular writers can't write. So they brought in a crew of replacement writers, and the replacement writers are much better. They've come in and literally said,
how do you know? Because we haven't seen the show.
No, I'm watching it.
Well, how do you know that those are replacement writers?
Because you see the writers on the screen first scene every day.
You actually pay attention to that?
Yeah. Sure, I know who the writers are. They put it on the screen, the main graphic every day. Yeah.
That is psycho behavior.
Why?
You pay attention to who's writing the episode of the show.
No, because the writers don't tend to change that much. It tends to be the main two. You'll see the main two names like every day for years.
This?
General Hospital. And they've replaced the writers with the main writers can't write. So they've replaced the writers, and the writers who've come in have said, that was stupid, that was stupid, that was stupid, we're changing it.
How quickly do they turn these episodes out?
They do 52 weeks a year, 5 episodes. Well, I'd say there's probably 4 or 5 days that they're not on a year. So
but I'm saying like from writing to
3 weeks.
Executing.
3 weeks.
Okay.
It's 3 weeks. They tape 3 weeks in advance.
Okay.
So the new writers came in and said, stupid storyline, that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make any sense. And we're going, man, these new writers are much better than the ones that have been there.
That's your opinion. I mean, other people might say these new writers suck.
Well, now they have proof that GPT-3 the technology can reason better than the average college student.
What do you mean reason better?
A UCLA study literally says they put a artificial intelligence versus a bunch of UCLA students. And we're able to study that the artificial intelligence makes better decisions, smarter, more reasonable decisions. When they're asked to, even if they're asked to type out a explanation for something, the explanation from the artificial intelligence is much more either realistic or executable. They have better plans. Now, I would not have wanted to have had this, Pat, when I was in college, because I absolutely would have been one of those people. Artificial intelligence probably would have been trucking me. But it's a very, very interesting piece on this whole thing is that it's a big deal. Like, should a factory that has the ability to use artificial intelligence to make products faster, get products out to market faster, should they not have it? I mean, it's a really interesting debate and discussion. But the idea is that, and I will read you one of the quotes because you may disagree with me now on the Fran Drescher thing, but you won't after this quote.
Okay.
In a creative industry, artificial intelligence should never be used. Why? So somebody else can lose their job to artificial intelligence? And a Hollywood writer can't? Who, by the way, 3/4 of the stuff they put out is crap and doesn't make money? The film industry losing money, like the amount of films now that lose money compared to make money, they've gone in, unless if you go the indie route, they're putting out more crap than they've ever put out. Like, I don't understand why she thinks somebody could lose their job at a Walmart, but a Hollywood writer should never lose their job. That doesn't make sense because it's creative. You shouldn't use artificial intelligence.
She's the head of the union. She's supposed to.
I got you.
Supposed to stick up for her people.
By the way, she's much different when you don't hear that voice. When you don't hear the nanny voice. Like, I didn't even know it was her. She was belting it out, and I'm going, I said, wait a minute, it's not, she doesn't sound like the nanny.
Yeah, she's acting.
See, so she's a better earner.
Yeah, she's just acting.
I didn't realize that. That's artificial intelligence you can't get back. So, hey, in Pat's point of view, there was a golf outing yesterday, and Pat has some thoughts on it.
This is Pat's point of view. Here's Pat.
Yeah, there's some thoughts. For sure.
We had a great day yesterday.
So, I like golf outings. They're fun, I guess.
Yeah.
So you hit your first ball into the water, and then you lose your next ball, and then you lose your next one.
I should have brought you some.
But they're fun. They're fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're a blast. Love them. 12 holes is the max. 18 holes is too much. And you cannot change my mind on this. 18 holes, you end up, and it happened to us, you end up getting stuck behind a foursome that is just taking too long. And it only really starts to happen, I noticed, around 9 to 12 holes in.
Okay.
So for the last half of your day, you're sitting there waiting. Primarily just watching the other group play.
Okay.
Which I don't know about anybody else, but when I'm watching the other group play and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, it actually makes me play quicker.
You're not
slower.
a fan of that either.
Absolutely hate slow golfers. So it should be 12 holes. It should not be 18. I know that there are going to be some golfers out there that think this is like sacrilege and I'm saying it. But in terms of a scramble, it 100% should not be 18 holes. It's way too much. 12 holes is perfect. Nobody needs to be out there for 4 hours. Sweating our bags off. No, it's dumb. Yesterday was a beautiful day. We got lucky, but it was still
warm yesterday. It got hot yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, so this idea of like we're going to do a scramble, it's going to be 18 holes, and that's all well and good in theory until once again you get stuck behind the slow group. And there's a chance that the slow group is slow because they're stuck behind a slow group. Because it's one group that just kind of ruins it for everybody. So I just do not think that going forward as a society.
So you're speaking in greater to a society.
I'm trying to speak to the society. You get in, you get out. It's a quick 3 hours. Then we go have some lunch. You get some group up there that ends up winning the tournament. We all look around going, there's no way they cheated. And then we go home.
Do you know that there is a very famous pro golfer who completely agrees with you?
I know. I don't
Brooks
remember.
Koepka.
Okay, that's who it was.
It's Brooks.
I didn't remember who it was, but I remember seeing it seeing the quote of him basically saying like 18 holes is stupid.
He did an event at the Wynn on the Vegas Strip, the Wynn golf course. It was him and I think Bryson DeChambeau. Like they don't like each other, so they did this event where they were competing, and it was a 12-hole event. And he said they were like, "Well, why 12?" And he goes, "Well, you've heard me a long time. I think golf should be 12 holes. I think it's too long." And he said 12 holes would be great, and I think it'll be a more compelling event on TV.
Absolutely.
So he's like you. 12-hole golf.
Yesterday, it's like we got 3 holes left, and the marshals are asking how many holes we got left. And it's like, damn, we've been out here for 5 hours?
Because you knew it was dragging.
5 hours?
Well, yeah.
And it would have, like, my group was pretty quick. I mean, you guys have golfed with me. Like, I'm not.
Right, you're not slow.
I'm not Connor out here taking 15 practice shots. I'm literally drop my ball and swing. Actually, Jen at one point said, "Do you ever take a practice swing?" I said, "No, there's no point."
How'd Jen come along?
I'll tell you what, she got a Miller Lite in her and she flourished.
The swing oil was coming together for her.
Oh, yeah.
I know her and her dad have gone out and everything like that. She's picked up the game.
She looked, it took her a little bit to get warmed up, but once she did, we were using the Jen Squirtle ball quite a bit.
There we go.
But
You and Brooks Koepka.
Me and Brooks are in lockstep. I think 18 is too money, and I think mainly just because you get stuck behind the slow group, and the slow group is inevitable in a scramble because it's going to happen. So I really do believe scramble should be 12 holes, and then we can get on with our day.
7 a.m. hour brought to you by the all-new Bet Parks app, sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I think at one time Brooks Koepka may have been on the wife's cheat list, the approved cheat list. Yeah, she liked him.
Okay.
During a time. He had a time.
Yeah.
You have a cheat list in your...
Absolutely.
Now, does your bride know your cheat list?
She knows some of them.
Some of them? How long do you go?
What do you mean, how long do you go?
Well, the idea of the cheat list is supposed to be small.
For you?
You guys have a more...
I mean, mine's a phone book. Yeah, mine's quite a long list.
It's so funny because every married couple, and they're lying if they don't say that they've had this discussion. Like, if you ever had the chance.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I flat out told her, like, if I come home and
Margot Robbie,
Chris Evans, like, I'm just going downstairs. Like, I'm not getting mad about it. I don't blame you. He's Captain America. Like, what am I like? This whole Ariana Grande thing. Like, everyone's like ripping the guy for leaving his wife and all that. And like, yeah, all right, but it's like all these women that are ripping him. If you were given the chance to hook up with your celebrity crush or whatever, probably doing the same thing. Let's not kid ourselves. We'd like to sit here and go the pedestal crap, but your celebrity crush slides in your DMs and starts taking an interest. You're not saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm busy that day. I'm going to the zoo." Like, it's just...
Which one, Norristown or the Phillies?
The Phillies. The tried and true.
Okay, the tried and true.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's as you said, it's every couple talks about it.
And Connor, you don't get to have a cheat list because you're not married.
No, everyone's on the board.
When everybody's available.
Yeah, I like
at
it that
that
way.
point.
All the fish are in the sea, but nobody's biting.
Do you think you would have a cheat list in an approved cheat list?
Nah.
Really?
Nah, I wouldn't do that.
That approved with your spouse, where she approves too.
That?
Dude, I've been single since my senior year of college.
So no?
By the time I get into a serious relationship, I'm going to have done enough.
Oh my gosh. Connor just won over half the women in Philly with that comment.
Well, he says that now, and then you're with the same person for
Pierce Brosnan.
a while, and next thing you know, the list comes out.
If Pierce Brosnan is in my driveway one day, I'm like,
But once again, you just got to go, you know what?
I'm screwed.
I get it.
It's okay.
The guy's James Bond.
It's just I'm done. Daniel Craig too.
I'm a radio host.
She probably has 2 James Bonds on her list.
Yeah, you can't compete with that.
It's just too much.
You got to ask the guy. Hey, Pierce, you want a water or something?
Yeah, can I get you anything?
Can I rehydrate you before you go for round 2?
I'm going to make an unpopular comment, and I think Connor Thomas is going to jump me on it.
Yes.
The best thing for the Phillies would be to not be buyers.
Get his ass, Connor. Go.
You're insane.
Because getting another talent isn't going to make their existing players better. And to me, I mortgage the future, and you would be mortgaging the future most likely if you're trying to get somebody of impact for a mediocre, sloppy team that plays stupid baseball. They play stupid baseball. They are the worst base running team in the majors. They're like a little league team. They field horribly. 4 defensive miscues in 1/2 inning the other night. They're a mess. So if I'm mortgaging the future, if I'm giving up, I've tried to rebuild a farm system. And that's what Preston Mattingly has been told. That's your mandate. Rebuild the farm system. Let's get talent. I'm not wasting it this year. Why am I wasting it on a team that plays such crappy baseball, that plays such stupid baseball? Why do I want to invest in them? I honestly don't. I'm willing to roll the dice, and I think this team will make the playoffs. If they don't touch anything today, this team's making the postseason. That's fine with me. Make the postseason, roll the dice again. I don't want to mortgage. I don't want to give up talent for our future to be able to say, because you're going to need the money the money that they've laid out is a lot.
I know. And I mean this respectfully to anybody in the Phillies organization who might get moved today. They're not really moving talent. I don't think they're making a splash move. They're going to move like 4 AA and single A guys that you've never heard of before. They're not mortgaging the future. Like, if they were going to go out and make a huge splash move.
No, but that would be mortgaging the future if those guys make it to the major leagues and they are cheap, controllable talent.
Which is a huge if.
Bohm and Stott and Marsh and guys like that. Why are you doing well this year? Bohm, Stott, Marsh. You're doing well because of cheap, controllable talent.
Right.
You're not doing it. The guys you paid the big bucks to have absolutely sucked.
And Mick Abel and Griff McGarry and Johan Rojas are going to be those guys in the future, and you're not moving them.
So why do you say that?
Because there's no one that they're going to go out and try and get at this point, this close to the trade deadline, that would be a splash move that would require you to move one of those guys.
You say it may surprise you. I mean, a lot of people think that, there could be, like, that's what they're trying to spin this morning, there could be some surprise moves. There could be guys you don't know that are available, that are coming available.
Yeah, but like, the Rangers have a clear, clean path through the American League. They've been really, really good this year. They went out and
You believe they have a clear path?
Well, like, they have a clean look at it.
Okay.
I know they're going to have tough time, but they are in a better position than the Phillies are. They've played better baseball. They went out and gave up one of their top prospects in Acuna's younger brother to go ahead and get Scherzer. That's not what the Phillies are going to do. They're going to go and get a fringe veteran starter. They're going to get a solid bullpen piece who doesn't cost you anything, and they're going to get an outfielder that a team that is not contending doesn't want. And that's not going to cost you any of these guys that we know about.
All right, if Goldschmidt's available,
the Phillies are not going after him.
Okay, so there's like one of the you wouldn't go after him.
No, they're not going to go after one of these big name guys. They're just not, because you're right. You're right in that the window this is not their best opportunity, right? They're good enough. They're better than I think you're giving them credit for when you call them a mediocre team, but they're not as good as, I don't know, a team like the Texas Rangers, for example.
So I think they're the definition of a mediocre team.
They're not. They're over 500, John.
Okay, they're over 500. At some point, 500 became celebratory around here. That's not celebratory. Not for a team with the 4th highest payroll in baseball. All these stars that went out and did. This is an absolute underachieving mess.
Yes.
It is a underachieving crew. So you can't tell me
you're right
that they're not mediocre. They're underachieving.
No. See, you're doing different things here.
What?
Underachieving by the standards we set for them does not make them mediocre. Okay, if the Eagles come out and win 11 games this year and we thought they're going to win 13, that doesn't make them a mediocre football team. It makes them underachieving.
11 wouldn't. And if someone was 11-6 in a 17-game season, that's not being what the Phillies are right now.
No, I get it, but they're not mediocre, John. They're not by any metric mediocre. They are above 500. They're ready to be a playoff team. That's not mediocre.
They win a little more than they lose.
Yes, so they're better than mediocre.
But you are nitpicking what mediocre. They are right there. They win a little bit more than they lose with one of the highest payrolls in baseball. They're an underachieving dumpster fire of underachieving.
They're underachieving. They're not.
The Mets are awful. The Mets are a
dumpster fire.
The Mets are awful with what they spent. The Phillies should be ridiculously laughing at the fact that we spent this. John Middleton should be saying, I spent this to build this.
You're having a different argument. They should be better than they are right now. It doesn't make them mediocre. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy at the deadline.
Pat, do you think the Phillies have been mediocre?
They have underachieved. They've not been mediocre.
Okay, what do you say? What do you set as mediocre?
500 baseball.
Exactly.
Like you think playing like right now they're 538.
Yeah.
I think 538 is I think 500 baseball is 500 baseball. I think a little better than that is mediocre. Is a little better than average. You're a little better than average. You're mediocre. You're 538. You're winning 53%. You're losing 47%.
I'll tell you right now.
That's weak.
I'll tell you right now. You're being harder on them than Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton are going to be. When they look at this team, you're evaluating them more critically. And I'm not saying you're wrong to do so.
No. And that's not unfair.
No, I'm just...
Okay, but tell me why.
Because the reality of baseball is get into the playoffs and you have a chance. And when you look at that, you'd be dumb not to improve the team.
Is sneaking into the play, which is what they did last year. And by the way, they're on pace to win again, 87 games. Is sneaking into the playoffs? Do you believe that is the anomaly? That is the unicorn.
I understand.
It's not the year that's not the strategy.
Correct. We're on the same page with that.
Okay, so it's not a strategy to do that. So if John Middleton, excuse me, respectfully, if John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski are in a room and they're saying, yeah, well, we can get in, then that means I don't want these guys in charge. No, I want these guys saying, this is crap.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when they evaluate this team, I don't believe any chance they're sitting here saying this team's mediocre. I don't think that at all.
Wow.
I think they've underachieved by your standards, mediocre, and I think you're turning that into mediocre.
Absolutely one of the poor performing offenses.
Yeah.
Below average. Below average.
And for the past 2 months, they've had a top 10 pitching staff in baseball.
They have. They're winning with the guys they didn't expect to win with. They're losing with the guys that they did expect to win with.
And I think you're harping on that, and that makes you think that they're worse off than they are.
Dante in the Northeast. Dante, what's going on here, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good. Do you think the Phillies are mediocre?
No, I think you're reaching when you say mediocre. If you want to say mediocre, you got to look at the Mets. Look at the money they spent.
Mets are below average.
No, hold on, John. Hold on. When we look at the Mets situation, right, all of the money that they spent last year, the two pitchers that they brought in this year, and they had to trade it all away because they're not doing anything. You add that on top of getting a Francisco Lindor and a Pete Alonso, that's mediocre. Now, I think you're reaching with the Phillies for the simple fact is that, are they frustrating? Absolutely they are. Do they blow your mind with the base running mistakes and the stuff that we seen the other day with Bryce Harper getting out at home because Alec Bohm decided to take off instead of look from second to third?
By the way, you know Harper didn't have to do that.
He did.
Despite what he told you, he could have stood on third base, which what the Little League coach would have told him to do.
He didn't have to, but I can understand where he's coming from a sense.
Wow.
Now, I think you're reaching when you say mediocre, but I did want to talk about Nola.
Okay.
I think you may have to pull a Zach Wheeler with him this year. I think you might have to go get a starter and just put Nola on the IL for like a week, 2 weeks, just to get his head right, man. It's just, I'm worried about him.
Do you think he's hurt then?
I'm not going to say he's hurt, but I just think between the ears, he's not all there, and he may need a break. That's how I feel. I think that you should give him some time. Go trade for a right-hander or left. Just go trade for a starter in general.
And give him the August break that Wheeler got.
Yes, I think he needs it. I think he needs to get away from the game, get his mind right. And I think this team is good enough to get into the playoffs. And then once playoff time comes, get him a start or two under his belt, and let's get ready.
All right, see you at FanFest, Dante. Good job, buddy. I don't want that. I don't want Wheeler last year was mid-August when they shut him down for a month.
Yeah.
And it was a month they shut him down for.
It's an interesting thought process, though. I hadn't thought about that to potentially try and save Nola's season. I don't know. I don't think the Phillies would ever do it. Like, I think they did it last year because Wheeler legitimately had dead arm and needed the time. But it's an interesting way to approach how do you pull Aaron Nola out of what he's been in this year.
Yeah, I don't think that's what you do because I do believe it was a dead arm thing with Wheeler.
Right. I don't think they will do it. Just the thought process to me of maybe he could use a break like that and maybe bringing in another starter. Even if you bring in another starter, you move two guys from the bullpen and you go six-man rotation, which they talked about before the season and never got into because of injuries. Maybe that just gives him more time in between starts. It's a good thought process. I just don't think they'll go about it the way Dante was just talking about.
Do you, Pat, right now, gut instinct, do you think Nola will be on the opening day roster next year? You say no.
No. I've said that since
And you would never
March.
You would never consider moving him, or would you?
Oh, I'd consider moving him. They won't.
They won't.
No, I mean, I'm not going to waste my time even thinking about it because they won't do it.
Would you ever consider moving him, Connor?
No.
All right. You want to share a thought? You can. 610-632-0975. I've got some betting trends I want to run by the boys that are 7 I think they're pretty shocking betting trends going into the season. We're so excited for the NFL season right around the corner. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. You know,
The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. Pat, scrolling through the book of the face.
Huh?
Bunch of people I used to work with. Their kids, their back to school photos this morning. It's August
What? It's
freaking
August?
1st. Yeah. Public schools went back today in two of the biggest districts.
No.
August 1st.
When do they walk out? When do they get out?
The Friday before Memorial Day week.
No.
It's ridiculous.
No, we're not doing this.
It really is.
I like school.
You enjoyed school.
All right,
Yeah, I'm not the guy to have this conversation with. I like going back to school.
You don't want to go back August 1st, though.
That's fine.
Really?
I went back early because I did private school from like kindergarten to.
See, private schools go back later in Jordan, like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, no, we went back early.
Wow.
But we got out early. So
Pat, we went back later than public school, I always thought.
We, grade school, we would go back basically like first week of September.
Right? Like right after Labor Day.
Yeah, so we would go back, and then it would be right before Labor Day. So we'd do the week before Labor Day. You'd come back, you'd have
Right.
Labor Day off, and then you kind of like get into the school
Get into
year.
it.
High school was maybe like the last week of August, and I didn't mind that too much because I was kind of like Connor, like I really liked high school. But
School's fun.
college. But college, you had those like 6 week long breaks, which are cool.
Yeah, that's always a nice break.
Couldn't really complain about those.
Hey, BQ Basements and Concrete. If your basement or crawl space smells musty or has watermarks on the block walls, you need to get a completely free home inspection from the experts. Call BQ Basements and Concrete because the problem's only going to get worse if you don't act on it. Okay, I've got some betting trends, and I can't wait to hear what Pat and what Connor say about this. There's some, I found 7 major betting trends from last season because we all like to use our app of choice and get out there. I found shocking statistics about 7 NFL teams. Well, more than 7. But 7 shocking betting statistics you need to take into consideration. Okay? One of them being, who has the league's best cover rate on bets at home? Over the past 2 years, so it's 2 years of data, if you're betting on a team to cover at home, cover the spread, who's the team you're betting on?
Ooh, great
Last
question.
2 years.
I'm going to guess the Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens? Pat, where are you going? What are you going to guess? Last 2 seasons, best cover rate at home.
I would go with the Buffalo Bills.
I would have too. Pat, my guess would have been Buffalo Bills. Over the past 2 seasons, this team has covered at home 76.5% of the time. The Detroit Lions.
Huh.
Number 1, covering at home. So keep that in your back pocket or in your mind. I'm pointing to my head and I'm saying back pocket. Keep it in your mind when you're thinking about your wagers. The Lions are the best home team at covering in the NFL the last 2 years.
Okay. Cool.
Okay? So there's still a little strange something there. Over the past 5 years, no AFC team has a higher cover rate against the NFC than this team. Every time they play the NFC, they cover 67% of the time, which is number 1. So they're the AFC team most likely to cover against an NFC team.
I'm just taking shots at the dark. Shots
Okay.
in the dark.
What did you say?
Nothing. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Pat?
I'll go with the Jags.
Interesting. You went off the board a little bit.
Yeah, I went with the team that would probably be an underdog most times, and a big underdog.
It's the Colts. The Colts, over the past 5 years, no AFC team has a higher cover rate against the NFC than the Colts.
This seemed to have like no rhyme or reason to it.
No.
Interesting.
Like, why the Colts? Why the Lions? That's weird. So here we go. Over the past 2 seasons, this team has been favored just once, the Texans. But they hold a respectable 16, 17, and 1 against the spread mark. They are better against the spread. They have the same against the spread mark as the Eagles and the Vikings the last 2 years. 16, 17, and 1. Eagles and the Vikings are 16, 17, and 1 last 2 years. So are the Texans. And the Texans have only been favored in 1 game. That's amazing.
That is. I'm starting to realize a little bit of a trend here.
What is?
I think what you're looking at is teams that are near the bottom of their division consistently that get easier schedules because of it that are more competitive than it would suggest.
I think that's fair. I think Eagles fans need to know that over the last decade, the team that lost the Super Bowl the season prior has covered just 44% of September games.
Well, the Rams really screwed that up this past year.
You think that was the one?
Yeah, they were terrible.
Which they could be terrible again. We get them early, too, which I like.
Right.
I like playing the bad team.
That's
early.
not a good football team. Yeah.
But it just tells you that the Super Bowl loser sometimes spins their wheels a little bit early in the season. The Saints are one of 5 teams that have won 75% of their games as a favorite over the past 5 years. Give me some of the other teams. 75% of their games as a favorite the past 5 seasons.
All right.
You're playing along in your car with this one.
The Chiefs are definitely on there.
Chiefs are in. Chiefs and Saints. There's 3 more. Pat answered one of them before. Took a guess on one of them. Bills.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Saints, Bills. You'll never get the other 2.
Green Bay.
No, I would have guessed Green Bay, Pat. That would have been it would have been my second next guess.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
No. The Vikings and the Bears.
I could see the Vikings. The Bears surprises me.
The Bears have won.
Surprising.
The Bears have won 75% of their games as a favorite over 5 seasons.
Well, yeah, that's because they've probably won 3 or 4.
Yeah, it means they're very, very rarely a favorite. But wow, like that number's crazy to me.
It is.
That's a crazy number to me.
Yeah, I guess weird place to play with how windy it
could be. I mean, Pat, I can't figure that number out. It's got to be a small sample size of being favored the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think the one thing I learned from the first one you did was just if you're an underdog, it's way easier to cover in that situation.
And you might be an underdog by 9, 8,
and you just don't get blown out. So for the Bears, it's just not getting blown out.
With Joe Burrow as quarterback for the Bengals, this is an amazing number. They own the best road cover rate in the league, 68% over 3 seasons. 70% of the time almost they cover on the road.
Yeah.
So you see Joe Burrow on the road take the points.
Yeah, that dude's ice cold when he goes away from wherever the stadium is the Bengals play in.
And here's an interesting one. Daniel Jones owns an 18-7 against the spread record for his career on the road. I mean, he's a great bet on the road to cover. 6-1 last year. Despite his overall record in those same 25 games is 9-16. So he can keep it close, but he doesn't win.
Yeah, that's the ethos of Daniel Jones, though, right? He's talented enough to make you think he's good, but he's not good enough to win.
I mean, that is really a weird, like sort of a weird number there.
It is. Yeah, those are really good trends. Like, there's some money to be made on those.
Yeah, there's some weird trends. I'm going to do a social media post on this that will be available probably tomorrow. So you have a chance. Yeah, digital content. So we'll have that for you because I love the betting stuff now. I placed another team wager: Dallas over, Eagles over, Green Bay over, Lions over, and I bumped the Eagles up to 11.5 and bet the over. So I have 4 over bets, and that's bothering me, Pat, because I use my free bets on these season-long things because I'm a Pat Egan disciple on this strategy, and it's worked for me. And it really worked. It really worked well last year.
You got to do it wisely, but it works.
So I'm trying to figure out right now, like where to go. I don't have any unders yet.
Yeah, I worry about that. You said Green Bay?
Yeah, I like Green Bay a lot, 7.5, and I bet the over.
I worry about that. I think they could very easily be a dumpster fire this year.
Really?
Yes.
You think LaFleur goes from winning 13, 12, whatever it was last year, 8, 9?
It's not LaFleur, it's Jordan Love. And everyone's telling me all this, he's got all this talent and he's going to step in. I don't know, man. I feel like there would have been more buzz about him behind Rodgers than, and I know Rodgers was really good. I just don't get the vibe. And I'm going purely on vibes, which is very analytical, but I just don't get the vibe that Jordan Love's that guy.
The thing is, I just don't know enough. I mean, I got to tell you, too, I don't know enough of Jordan Love. If I haven't seen, I didn't watch him play in college even.
Right. Maybe that's why I'm feeling this, because it's just an unknown. But
if he had played at South Carolina, I'd probably be saying, yeah. Or if he had played at, Clemson or, in the ACC, I might have said that. I didn't watch him in college enough. So they're very confident. And Green Bay is they're a confident organization that they can pull these things off.
Yeah. They've also had a long run of quarterbacks that have been really, really good. But I don't know. I just don't get the feeling from Jordan Love when I hear him talked about and watch the little bit of play he's done.
All right, I'm telling Derek, yeah, I will post them. I will post them tomorrow. The 7 eye-opening betting trends. There's some really good numbers there that
I'll give it a click.
You might want to check out.
Maybe 2 clicks.
It is good. You scour some of these stuff because I really enjoy the preseason analysis. And I'll give you the attribution so you can go and look at the bigger studies where some of these numbers come from. It's amazing because they're all over the place, so you can find them. In Pat's point of view, he wants to talk about Jalen Hurts not being on the quarterback show.
This is Pat's point of view. Here's Pat.
Hello, Patrick.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Yes.
Okay. So, as it got announced that Jalen Hurts is not going to be on quarterback
Anytime soon.
The Netflix docuseries that feature Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota and some Patrick Mahomes guy. Apparently, he was asked twice. He turned them down both times. But is there anyone that you would like to see on a similar type show from a Philly sports team? And it got me thinking, like, is there anybody kind of interesting in this town?
So a similar type of show.
Yeah, like let's say they did one of, it's not called quarterback, but it's called like hockey.
Pitcher.
Exactly. If they expanded this idea to other shows, was there somebody in Philadelphia that you think, man, I'd really like to dive into that and find out more about them?
You have them, Connor?
Well, I mean, I can cherry pick one with Bryce Harper. I can never get enough content on that guy.
Really?
And seeing what his day-to-day life would be.
I don't think I'd find that real interesting.
I don't think he's interesting.
Well, I think he's not interesting off the field, but he spends so much time at the facility and working. I just love to see what this work ethic, like we hear the work ethic, we see the results, but we don't ever truly get to see the process he goes through to get ready to be the player he is. I'd love to see like how the guy attacks his work.
I would like to see him this past season.
Right, the rehab and everything.
The rehab, I would have been very interested in. But if it's a normal Bryce Harper year, I don't know if I'd finding that all that compelling.
That he'd be that riveting.
Yeah. I know what Connor's saying because I think there's a large portion of listeners out there that would find that very compelling. But I don't know if I'd be entertained by it.
A guy said to me yesterday at the golf outing, said this Phillies team is really interesting to me, but everybody who's interesting has a small paycheck. He said the big guys are totally uninteresting to me. He said they don't compel me. He said Harper doesn't compel me. Wheeler doesn't compel me. Nola doesn't compel me. He said it's watching Stott and Bohm. It's watching the daycare kids.
Yeah.
He said it's the only thing making him not hate the Phillies.
Kids do dumb, interesting stuff as they're growing up, and then you get old and boring.
But the thing is, the dumb stuff is done on this team by the veterans.
Yeah, but
not by the kids.
I meant more as far as the personality, like the pouring water on people and stuff like that. Like as you spend more time,
little over it.
Yeah, well,
I'm a little over it.
I don't know if I find anybody on the Phillies compelling.
Really?
Like in terms of like watching them for this situation.
Brandon Marsh
in a show, but he's picking a show.
Yeah, I'm picking a show. I'm sitting there on my couch on a random Wednesday afternoon, and I'm turning this on. Am I sticking with it? Because what? Now I'm gonna watch it anyway because I'm a Phillies fan. But am I entertained by it? I don't know if anybody on the Phillies would really do that.
I don't think any of them are that interesting.
Now Brandon Marsh maybe, but we're just saying that because he has a goofy, hairstyle and a beard.
Yeah, but they made Duck Dynasty on that entire premise.
You have a point, and that was successful. But to my point, that didn't entertain
the entire premise.
Okay, fair enough.
That didn't entertain me though.
That's
no,
fair.
it doesn't entertain.
Like the only guy I could think of in the city would probably be Embiid, and even he has gotten
annoying as hell
for you
to me. Yeah, annoying as hell.
I would say I think he's gotten more mature and less entertaining as the years have gone on.
Oh, I would agree with you on that.
Like I think early on in his career it would have been fun, but I just don't know if the city like Kelsey honestly would probably be the only other guy that I could think of.
But I'm a little Kelsey'd out on I love their podcast, love it, absolutely love it, enjoy them very much. But I almost have seen too much of them.
Okay.
Like, to me, I don't need to see another thing. I'd love to find somebody interesting. I find the more that I heard Jeff McClain, we look forward to having Jeff McClain with us on Friday, is I'd like to learn more about Lane Johnson.
Oh, yeah, he'd be interesting, I think.
Like, I think Lane Johnson, the barn.
Yeah.
Hurts' picture being painted up on in there and just the idea of all the mental challenges he's overcome. And how do you do that? I think Lane Johnson could do a great service by doing a show like that.
It would be interesting if they followed an entire offensive line. Not necessarily one player, but
that's
an entire
not bad either.
unit, because the offensive line, I mean, as we know, it's if you don't hear from them, they're doing a great job. Kind of a thankless position.
Do you watch the offensive line?
Get banged up quite a bit.
When you're in the stadium, I don't watch the offensive. No. I follow the ball. I'm like a stupid, I'm like a dog.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I follow the ball.
Yeah.
And after working with a quarterback for 21 years, he would say to me, "John, you watch the ball.
Of course.
You watch the ball."
Yeah, that's a fun part.
And he loves watching the intricacies of, look at that. Look at how they blew up on the right side of the offensive line. I'm like, I'm not watching for that.
Collinsworth was the same way. Collinsworth broke down his tactics on how he calls a game, and he said, everybody's watching the ball, so I'll watch everything else. That way I'm able to point out, this happened because of X, Y, and Z.
How do you have the discipline to do that?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I don't have the eye discipline.
No, neither do I.
I'm the dog.
That's a Cooney thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. After I heard Collinsworth say it, I tried to do it, and I couldn't.
Roger Nielsen was brought in one year by Keenan to be captain video, to come in and help them and be like a guest coach and help the Flyers during his tenure. And Roger Nielsen came out one day and brought his dog to practice and shot like tennis balls from center ice into the zone, and the dog ran on the ice to go grab the balls. And he said, "See what the dog does? It chases the puck. It chases the ball. That's how you guys have been playing the game. You've gotten lazy, and you forgot about your assignments, and everybody just chases the puck." He said, "You don't think about it." And he just did this little exercise with it, and the dog literally showed them. Hey, you can't, don't chase the ball. I don't have that discipline. I watch the ball at all. That's why I love the NFL Plus app. I'm telling you, that 11 on 11, and I don't know, and I'm being honest, I don't know probably 30 to 40% of what they're talking about, even if if I'm reading some of the analysis of what I'm looking at 11 on 11. But I love seeing the all 22 tape and the different angles of video that they'll show you. It's freaking amazing. It's amazing.
It is cool, the technology that's let us get a deeper peek into the sport that we love.
But guys like Baldy, I can understand. He can explain it. Schlereth can explain it. Some of these guys, they get into this intricacy stuff that I get lost. But watching the all 22 is freaking awesome, because you just see a different angle and of the action. And you're saying, focus on this, and they're telling you, focus on this, and look at why this play worked. And it's amazing.
Well, especially with the offensive line, because it's a position group that they have to really all be in sync. And it's the only position group I feel like you have to be in sync to have success. Defensive line, a guy can struggle and you can still have success because the other guy got to the quarterback. Wide receiving groups, you can have your third wide receiver, fourth wide receiver run the wrong route. You can still have success. Offensive line, it's the one real position where you need everybody in lockstep or else you fail.
That's crazy.
So I think it would be interesting to follow just a group, and I think the Eagles group would be pretty compelling. I mean, you've got Jordan Mailata, who, we all know that backstory. Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, who probably were on their last ride.
Captain Overalls, Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, it would be a pretty compelling group.
Put me on an island. I think that I would be on an absolute island with this, but I would enjoy watching Keith Jones and Danny Briere.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
This upcoming season.
Yeah.
Because I know Jonesy to be, he's highly candid and entertaining.
The problem with that would be the access that we would see versus the access.
You think it would be totally limited?
I'd love to see the access. I find it way more interesting of guys that they don't want. When they're talking about a pre-draft process.
Oh, absolutely.
And they, the guys
Why are you not wanting this guy?
Yeah, you'll always hear the stories after the fact, and you heard it kind of with Mitchkoff, and like there was the reports of the Canadians not wanting him because he was a quote bad teammate in Petersburg, and they didn't confirm it was Mitchkoff. There was kind of just hearsay, but I'm interested to hear the Canadians' conversation regarding Mitchkoff in their room, and you'll never hear that.
No, we'll never.
But it would be interesting to be on the I always thought this with Hard Knocks too. Hard Knocks being the editor for Hard Knocks and being able to hear all of the stuff that goes on that doesn't make the show because it paints so-and-so in a bad light. Give me that stuff all day.
Well, now they're not letting you see guys get cut anymore.
It's ridiculous.
Because of that. It's so ridiculous.
You can do it in a respectful. A lot of coaches do.
Didn't that show, you fired?
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Trump fired people.
That was the whole thing.
What if they had The Apprentice where you weren't, we're not going to show people getting fired because it really hurts their feelings.
Well,
it gets up in their feelings.
No, we laid them off.
My gosh. If you're getting cut from an NFL team, you really aren't an NFL player for the most part.
Well, not anymore.
Probably.
No.
You got cut.
You're a fringe. You are the fringe of the fringe. The guys who get cut from NFL teams are the fringe of the fringe.
Yeah.
And
they're called stampeders.
I mean, they're not. You're not talking about a guy who should have had huge aspirations of being a star in the NFL.
Wow.
No.
Whether or not they should doesn't mean they don't.
They can be a star in the Argos.
We could be exactly.
Win the Grey Cup.
There's other places to go play.
Yeah, Montreal's beautiful.
You're getting cut from the highest level that anyone can play at. You're getting cut. That means somebody will look at you at the next level and the next level and the next level. And by the way, there's other pursuits too.
Oh yeah, Parma.
Parma
has the Panthers.
I love Parma.
Yeah, go to Parma, play a little football, get a little Parmesan cheese.
Where's that? Italy?
Chicken Parma.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah, the Italian Football League, of course.
Doing a little limoncello this
Italian
weekend.
American Football League.
Yeah, I was going to say
thinking about
football,
it.
soccer.
I'm thinking about that food yesterday. Oh my gosh.
It was a strong spread.
I would put the PJ's lunch and the Deeks barbecue dinner, I would put that up against any golf event in the city. That was a fantastic. And then Deeks rolls out the truck and they're giving the ribs out the window. And you see these guys that have just chowed down on the cornbread and the pulled pork and the brisket. Oh my, Connor, you would have cried.
Well, thanks for bringing me leftovers.
Yeah, the guy couldn't be here.
I had 2 bags of chips yesterday.
He was hosting the best show ever.
It doesn't matter.
And he did a great job.
Bragging him about the great food that you had if he didn't get a chance to have it.
That's a shame.
So hungry.
I feel terrible about
My tummy hurts. I feel like Christopher Sanchez through 5 innings.
Your tummy hurts. It's so funny.
We're not going to pull you early.
I will laugh, though, that the tummy hurts is that I did have quite a few people yesterday that emailed me afterwards going, you must really have rolled your eyes at the tummy hurts thing. Yeah, going through chemo, I'm sort of laughing at he has a tummy upset. He can't go to work. Oh, my gosh.
Sometimes your tummy hurts, John.
Come on. He didn't, by the way, to his credit, and I saw it last night on NBC Sports Philadelphia, he didn't back that up at all. He wanted in that game. Rob Thompson screwed him over because he wanted in that game. He did not want to leave that game, and he covered for his manager.
Yeah, we need them to keep winning because I want that to get buried far, far away from my mind.
Yeah, it's not a good one. So, hey, the James Harden saga, Connor wants to talk about it a little bit. Fill-in star of the best show ever yesterday. By the way, the gang's back today, right? It was great to see yesterday Tyrone and Jen and Ricky and gosh, Dylan McKinnon, just one of the stars of the day. They'll all be back today at work, ready to roll. You know, if you're a golfer, and we met a lot of you yesterday at our charity golf event, the inaugural 97.5 The Fanatic charity golf event. You know that PXG has some great clubs, and PXG's next Gen 6 driver is so good, they'll bet it's better than yours. I know it's better than mine. Mine's like 25 years old, and I got it used 25 years ago. Test their Gen 6 driver, and if it doesn't deliver more distance or tighter dispersion than yours, they'll give you $100. You can join at pxg.com. You, Connor, you would enjoy going to PXG to the store for a fitting more than anyone at the station other than Ricky.
Yeah, I love golf, and I need to get clubs fitted.
It's very scientific. It's very scientific. Their whole approach, their everything, and it's sort of like a nightclub. Like the lighting, it's very cool. The good music.
Here's why I wouldn't, right? Because part of the important part about having your clubs fitted is to have them match your height. And
well, they do that.
No, I know.
Okay,
but I like to tell people I'm 6 foot.
You're not.
Well, I might be.
You're not.
That's the thing. I might be.
Drew Brees tells people he's 6 foot. I have a picture with Drew Brees. He's shorter than me.
Yeah. So that makes me like 6'2" down there.
Now, Drew Brees is not 6 foot.
So my question is, keep the clubs I have, or swallow my pride and let someone find out I'm not 6 foot. And I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that yet.
I think people know you're not 6 foot.
I don't know that they do.
I think they do.
The camera's really far away.
And more importantly, guys don't care.
Well, yeah, but maybe there's a pretty girl working there, and
that wants to know he's 6 foot.
Yeah,
like be Pat. Be Pat about this. Well, Pat owns who Pat is, and Pat is one of Pat's greatest attributes is the fact that Pat is unadulterated Pat.
Well, in Connor's defense, if I was like 5'10", I don't know that I wouldn't lie about it. I get why he does it. There are a lot of women out there who will only date guys 6 foot or above.
I was 5'11".
As soon as they find out you're under 6 foot, they cross you off the list.
I was 5'11", and I found out through this whole cancer journey that I've shrunk to 5'10 and a half, and trending towards just hitting 5'10 and a half. I'm trending towards 5'10. They say your back.
It like constricts you or
not
compresses.
The little disc or something.
Yeah.
Oh, they said it's common. I said, so you're saying I'm shrinking? And they're like, yeah. But I mean, there was no way I never said 6 foot. But I didn't use dating apps and stuff.
Yeah, I say 6 foot all the time.
Okay, come on now. She knows the minute she sees you, you're not 6 foot.
Yeah.
Not if she doesn't have a tape measure.
That's true.
I mean, seriously, if you guys walk
really
around,
don't know 6 foot, though?
I couldn't tell you guys how tall you guys are.
Really?
Just by looking at you? No, I have no idea.
Matt Cowper, who works in sales here, called me 6'1" a couple weeks ago.
Guy said yesterday, he goes, you're taller than Bob.
Are you? I don't know.
Yeah, and like we don't think about it.
No.
And I went, am I? And I said to him, am I? And he goes, yeah, you're taller than
You
Bob.
just kind of take it on face value. Oh, okay.
But Bob and I are the same relative physical height. But I was like, hey, like I don't know. I don't know my height.
Right.
I know in comparison to you, like if you're standing next to people.
Yeah, it's not for guys at all, though. Like
And
I don't
Jamie's
think about
a
it
beast.
compared to you guys.
You think of it for dating apps.
Exactly.
Right. Jamie's a beast. Like Jamie's like,
Yeah.
like let out of a cage.
Dude's 6'4".
And he's
Like,
just
giant.
chiseled out of granite.
And he's just big. But Jamie's just big.
He's a big dude, but like
everything about Jamie is big. Personality,
yes,
head,
yeah.
He's just a big dude.
He's hairless Kyle Schwarber.
It's a great example.
I
A little more. I'm assuming a little more IPAs than Kyle
I think
Schwarber.
so.
I don't know.
Could
But
be
if
tight.
Jamie got into shape, yeah, I would say he's Kyle Schwarber like.
Could very well be. Like when I hear people say Kyle Schwarber's fat,
No.
I'm like,
No,
what are you
not-
talking about?
Not remotely.
I have only had the experience of seeing Kyle Schwarber without his his jersey on at the top, and Kyle Schwarber ain't fat. No, he's not fat. He looks like he could go into the local dive bar, and you want him on your side if there's a fight.
Well, yeah.
He looks like that dude. I don't think the Phillies have anybody in the clubhouse that you'd say that about.
As far as like,
Okay, you're going into the dive bar that could be a little rough, and there may be some guys in there looking for trouble. Who would you want other than in a fight? Other than Schwarber?
give me Taiwan Walker. That dude's gigantic.
Oh, Taiwan Walker is gigantic.
He's like
gigantic.
6'6".
I didn't think about that. Like, as far as, but, because you got to have a little bit of the attitude.
Nah, give me Garrett Stubbs. The dude's got some fight to him. Got fire.
Pat and
Yeah, he's
Garrett
spunky.
Stubbs. Pat and Garrett Stubbs would be a great.
I think me and him would get along.
I think you two would get along
Swimmingly.
fantastically.
Yeah.
By the way, if Garrett Stubbs doesn't become if he doesn't become a broadcaster at some point or something, they're missing out. Every time he's mic'd up or you get to hear him, he's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, he is. He's a great locker room guy. Like, huge.
You hear that?
Yes.
But you hear that term. He's the definition of it.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't play much. Doesn't matter. Always happy.
Keeping
always doing
everybody
stuff.
loose. He's
Yes.
saying, I hit the freaking lottery. I am in major leagues.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's not bad. He's not a bad player.
No, not at all.
At all. So, I mean, it's not like he's just stealing money. He has JT Realmuto, who, people were like, has to play 140 games or whatever. So,
Well.
manager just wants him in there. Don't say the initials because it's not true, and you know it's
What,
not
JT?
true. JT, you're allowed to say.
Or BCIB.
It's the other four. Yeah, don't say that because there's at least three guys that
Baited you.
There's at least three guys that are better. In Connor's point of view today.
What? That's what it's called?
No, it's not. But Connor wants to talk about this James Harden situation. We really haven't talked about it much. And I got to tell you, I'm glad we haven't talked about it much because it's not talked out.
In what world? Here's Connor Thomas.
There we go.
Like this.
Yeah, I don't mean to bring it up in the way that we've been talking about it, but because it's gone kind of quiet, it made me think about what the drop dead point would be for this whole thing. And when I say drop dead, I don't mean when you think it's going to end. I'm saying if you had control over this situation and you could just snap your fingers and James Harden's gone, and it could be minimal return, whatever, but just get him out of this city. I need to know what that is. I put down here what the time is where you throw the beard out with the bathwater.
Okay. Before
go ahead. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Before camp.
Really?
Yes.
So, you don't want to see him in a jersey at all this year?
No, I don't, because I know what he's going to do. He's going to be a disruptive force. That's what he is.
Earlier than I thought.
He's unprofessional. He is unprofessional. Documented. He is a disruptive force when he's unhappy. I don't want any of that around this team. And I do want to see Nick Nurse has shown he develops players. And I love Doc Rivers, but Nick Nurse has shown he develops players. So I think he can take some role guys and make them very, very complimentary to help the guys that you currently have.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet you're going to be pretty unhappy with how this plays out then. Because I don't think he's moving before camp.
Oh, no, I think it's going to be very unhappy. I think I'm going to be very unhappy with it.
But you could trade him for, I don't know, some no-name guy or, two guys that are never going to play for the Sixers and be, their ninth and 10th guys on the bench.
I don't think he's going to make that deal.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you, where you get to the point where you're screw it. I don't even care about the return. Get James Harden out of here because I'm tired of dealing with this. For you, that could be camp.
Here's what I would say, and Pat, it's in, because I want to hear your answer on this, is the idea is that I don't want to do what the Nets did. If I was the Nets when he started to pull his crap about, oh yeah, my hammy, I can't go. Or in Houston with and it wasn't a fat suit, it was actually being fat. I would have said stay home. Because if someone's not rowing in the same direction as the whole team, I don't want you around me. Get out now. And I don't want him around this team.
Okay.
And we saw it with Ben Simmons. That was a drag. When you had somebody being unprofessional and not doing their thing. Pat, what do you think of this?
Yeah, it's a tough situation when you've got a guy that wants out, and if he's not going to be remotely professional about the situation and kind of just play and be a good soldier and bide his time and wait. And if he's not willing to do that, then yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with just kind of sending him home, saying we'll call you.
Yeah.
But you also really hurt your trade value by doing that, because I do feel like James Harden coming out, when Houston, his first game, he had 50 points.
Yeah.
He played pretty decently early on, and then he kind of fizzled out, and then eventually he ends up getting traded. It took a while for him to finally play in Houston, because I think they did send him home initially. I think he was just kind of holding out, waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
But eventually he came to work.
He was sweating honey mustard.
He came to work and realized, I have to actually perform in order to kind of boost my trade value up. So I would think after what he did in Houston and Brooklyn, he was injured. So, when he got here, it took him 3 weeks to get on the court. And George
Well,
Niang,
that was, remember, because of the trade deadline.
Well, it was the trade deadline.
Not trade deadline, All-Star break.
He had the calf injury, and it still took some time to get him on the court. And Niang said when he came in with this, like, he wasn't the same. So I'll give him a pass there. I would hope he would learn from what happened in Houston. That's the one that I'll circle. I don't think they have really a drop-dead date, though, and I wouldn't either. I think it's they're hoping that he ends up playing. He ends up kind of changing his mind. Time heals all wounds type of situation. And
how likely do you see that?
I would give it a 30% chance.
Okay, Connor, where would you be?
I'd go less than that. Maybe 15, 20 tops % chance.
I say 30 because this is a team that you can win on.
That is correct. That is correct, which is different than Houston.
Yeah, and even with Brooklyn, yeah, you had KD, but the whole mess regarding Kyrie
and Simmons,
yeah, it just
it opened the door for that trade.
Yeah, it just wasn't feasible to win there. It just kind of never really meshed and gelled and worked.
I think Simmons did to the Sixers what Kyrie did to that Nets team.
A little bit, yeah. He was just
very similar,
weird dude that it was like it just made work probably less fun to go to when you've got a guy in Kyrie just being
James behind the scenes to the NBA insiders, complained about that situation.
Yeah,
and said that's why he wanted out. And now for the second franchise, Houston, and now Philly, he is that guy. He's the one causing it.
I don't know necessarily if he's like with Kyrie. I looked at Kyrie as a guy that
just being odd.
He's odd, and you don't necessarily look forward to seeing him at work. I don't know if that's the case with James, because I think there's a chance that James just wants out. He feels hurt by the front office, Morey. But he doesn't feel hurt by the players.
Yeah, because Maxey loves him.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that any of the players are holding, a grudge against him or him vice versa. He is, because previously it seemed like, okay, Houston, he wanted out because he didn't think he could win there. The Brooklyn, he wanted out because he didn't really like playing with Kyrie and the player situation was weird. This is different because he feels like he was betrayed by someone he thought was a friend, but that friend theoretically wouldn't have to see a lot, and that's Daryl Morey. He likes Joel Embiid. He likes Pat Bev. He likes PJ Tucker, Daniel. Like, there's a lot going in his favor for staying in Philly. And I think if he were to come to his senses, he'd realize that the Philly is probably his best chance to win, other than getting traded to God knows where.
You think this fan base embraces him, Connor?
No, I don't.
I think he's done with his fan base.
Yeah, I
think this fan base does not.
Right, he's burned that bridge. Now, I do think the Ben Simmons situation is a bit of a help here, right?
Explain why.
Because that situation was about as bad as it can get between a player and an organization and his teammates and coaches and everything.
Oh, it was terrible.
And by comparison, this will not be that bad.
Oh, I agree with that. I don't think that that's ever going to be as bad as that.
Right, but Ben Simmons walks so James Harden can run. Like, he made that situation so terrible that I think we're kind of expecting it to feel like that again, and it won't. So that might make this a little bit more palatable for us. It doesn't make it a good situation. It doesn't mean it'll work out. But I think if we could think back to how bad that Ben Simmons thing was.
Oh, my gosh.
And I think it plays with the players, too. Like, even if James Harden isn't at his best and he's a little bit annoying to have around, and even if they send him home, he's not going to be what Ben Simmons was, which is not, I don't want to say an improvement because it's not a good situation, but it's something they'd be more used to.
And I applaud Malika Andrews' show for bringing up the fact that says, we're still waiting to hear the details of that. How did they give Ben Simmons his full paycheck? She says when he can't even produce why he wasn't going to work. It's just terrible. Mike in Delran joins us. Mike, good morning, buddy.
Yo, what's going on? How you doing?
Good to hear from you, man. What's going on?
Hey, you too, man. How you feeling, John? Good?
Okay. I'm doing okay, but the guys are taking great care of me.
All right, good. I don't care. James Harden's trade value was non-existent when he didn't show up for the last games of the playoffs, in my opinion. That's why nobody will give him money. That's why we won't get a trade for him. I don't care if you just send him home and tell him, see you next season, go wherever you want to go, and just get him off the books. I don't care. Eagles are starting. Phillies are in the playoffs. We shouldn't be talking about another stupid Sixers player that's not going to be here. Jimmy Butler, Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, now James Harden. I'm tired of it.
Don't run.
Loser hustle.
Don't run. I need to talk to you about your Eagles then.
All right, well, then good. So let's talk about the Eagles.
Did you
Those
purchase?
scumbags- No. Those scumbags who sat in line to buy all that Eagle stuff just to go sell it online for 3 times the price, you're a loser, too. Get out of here. Go Birds.
Love you, Mike.
He's fired up
the
this
alacrity.
He was really. By the way,
I'm with him.
you are scumbags. And I'll say it, you are capital S scumbags. If you went and bought a bunch of stuff yesterday while you have other people in line wanting to buy stuff, and then you're trying to sell it online and triple it, you are absolute scumbags. There's a difference. You're whoring your own family. Like you're trying to, you're pimping out children. You're despicable people. I saw one guy and they put it on the news, and he carried out like, I would say it's probably 20. And I'm like, you're an a-hole. He was like so proud of himself, and I was like, you're an a-hole.
Well, it's like the people that used to buy iPhones when they would come out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a great video of, I think it was the first iPhone.
Oh, you mean
no.
when the people used to camp out when there were a lot less Apple stores?
Yeah, and it wasn't the first iPhone, but it was like a new iPhone. This woman ended up paying for a guy's spot because she thought she was going to roll in there with, all this money and just buy him up. And then she got in and she found out that you can only buy a max of 2.
Gosh.
And it was awesome. Like the karma.
That is awesome.
She ended up paying this guy like $900 for a spot in line.
And she was going to go buy
She was going to be the
20.
first one. Yeah, like sell it out. And they're like, no, jackass, you can buy 2.
I think that's what it should have been.
They should have limited it.
And I'm not ripping the Eagles on this. I would say maybe it wasn't thought out well enough. They should have a different policy.
Yeah, they absolutely should have limited it, especially when.
What would you say though would be fair?
3.
I'd go more than that. I'd go 5.
I'd go 4. Saying that's weird.
4's fine.
Pat says 3, I say 4, you say 5.
Yeah.
So we're all in the same relative neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 4 max for me.
But I think it was handled poorly in the fact that, well, it's hard to say it was handled poorly because they all sold out. But to me, the fact is, there's no reason for someone to be walking out of there with 5. I mean, with 20. I'd say, and if someone saw it on the local news, they know the guy I'm talking about, and he just seemed like a total a-hole.
Yeah.
That just is, he's walking out there with like 20-something and everything, and he's pointing at people going, I bought 20. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just not surprising to me. People do it when sneakers drop. People do it with tickets all the time on the secondary market. Like
when you say sneakers drop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now you're going to have to. I hear Ty talk about this a lot. Are you talking about like where people are in that sort of like sneaker lottery thing?
Yeah.
There's that, but you can also line up for them too. There might be a release at stores and stuff.
Yeah, but you're not getting 10 in a sneaker drop, are you?
Yeah, people not on like the sneakers app where you raffle for one, you just get a pair. But if you go and like wait in line, like new Jordans drop, I'm going to buy 10 pairs and I'm going to sell them secondhand on eBay. Like people do that. That's been a thing for a long time.
We did a thing once that really didn't go well, a radio promotion once, where we gave the person, you won the money and you won the spot to be able to be in line to get when Jordans came out, long after his retirement, and Jordans came out, and then there was a shooting in the line.
Jeez.
And we did a radio promotion, and literally someone shot somebody in the Jordans line. And I was like, well, we're not going to do that promotion ever again. That will be something that doesn't happen. Shooting over sneakers. I mean, it's unbelievable. And inside, this was inside. This wasn't outside.
Yeah.
This was inside. Someone just not really good.
No, not good at all.
So the Eagles, you're hearing Nick Sirianni talk about the Eagles bringing along the rookies slowly. They're bringing on the guys, especially the Georgia boys, the little dogs, or whatever you want to call them. They're bringing them along in the second and third teams because they say they want them to compete against guys at the similar level, and they don't want to overwhelm them right off the bat. I thought, and again, Nick Sirianni knows more about training camp that he's forgotten more than I know. So, Nick, again, you will excuse me, but I have to question this policy because I'm just asking. Isn't training camp supposed to be about pushing guys and letting them compete for jobs and showing who's the best? Because I promise you that looking at these Georgia Bulldogs and watching them play for a long time and watching they're going to be, I can tell you right now, between Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, some of these guys are better than the guys that are ahead of them on the depth chart.
Right.
They're better.
Yeah. I don't know.
So why don't you want to know that?
Let's look at where we are, first of all.
Okay.
So
what, it's August?
Yeah. Well, we're starting the second week of training camp. We talked to Tim McManus yesterday when I was filling in on the best show ever. And he was like, they haven't even put the pads on yet. So you could say what you want about the interior linemen and anyone who plays in the trenches, but until you put the pads on, it's hard to evaluate. So we're at that point still. So maybe they move these guys up in team reps.
Okay.
He did say Nolan Smith was getting some opportunity with first team, minimal.
That was because of Hassan Reddick being out.
Right, exactly. But I mean, that
was by necessity. They weren't letting him. Why aren't you plugging those guys in and seeing if they look out of place?
But that's the point, right? Hassan Reddick's not like holding out. He was
No.
He was out for a couple days, and now he's back. We're just so early into it that I think it's too early to evaluate where they think these players are.
It was interesting, Pat, hearing him say this is the developmental stage. That Nick Sirianni saying, well, this is the developmental stage of camp. Look, Sirianni has camp down to a science. It's obviously worked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just asking the question is, I like the young guys to get the competition because even on a big veteran team like this, it's good to push.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to just hand the guy.
Don't anoint people.
And even if deep down I know that guy is probably going to have the job week one, I'm not letting on until the week before the week of the first game of the season. I want that guy pushing, and I want to see how he reacts to not being the top guy. I want to see how he reacts to being second on the depth chart. And, I'm the 9th overall pick.
I came out of the best program in college football.
Is he going to respond well when he knows that he's better than this player, but he's behind him on the depth chart? Or is he going to mope and whine and, not be a good teammate? I want to find that out, even if I know, this guy's way better and he'll start for me.
That's really interesting. That's and that is something I did not even contemplate. Is the psychology of watching guys that have been high on the pecking order now be dropped down and be sort of everymen.
Yeah.
And how do they react?
Right.
Because these guys came out of the premier program in college football and constantly having rose petals thrown at their feet.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, guys that are on the team that might not be as talented as your picks from this year, like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, you could bring the greatest pitcher in the world onto a baseball team. But if he doesn't know, the fielding drill you're running, you're going to be like, okay, back of the line for a little bit. Watch this go through. Get your reps in, and then we'll move you up. And then we know you're going to play. We know you're talented enough. But, again, we're just getting started with these guys. So when he says the developmental stage, it's them getting up to speed on even just the drills that they run during training camp. And then I think
that's part of it, too, I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see him get more opportunity as camp goes on.
I love the idea of the you know what I would love to see, Pat? You're talking about shows you'd like to watch.
Yeah,
I'd like to watch Nick Sirianni's classrooms because this team spends more time in the classroom than most NFL teams during camp. I would like to see as much as they can show what goes on in those classrooms. I would find that incredibly fascinating.
I would like to know what he says and teaches that resonates, because clearly it's a lot.
Or how he connects.
Yeah.
Because he connects really well.
He does.
He really does well.
We ripped him for a lot of the shtick early on, but it's, I think we tried to. We would always preface it by saying it doesn't matter what we think. It
right, exactly.
It's resonating with the players, and it did. But you also have to remember what was really resonating with the players was when he switched up the game plan, they started winning.
Well, also, too.
Because he was dangerously close, I think, to losing that locker room.
What resonated with that team, too, though, very much so, was the fact that I think Nick Sirianni listened to his veterans.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
About camp and everything like that.
I think they truly appreciate that.
Because I think there are, like Matt, we're going to talk about Matt Patricia later, but there are coaches who come in and say, my way or the highway, all that kind of stuff.
Your boy JG's doing it out in Arizona right now, per reports.
He is, because supposedly it was a country club.
Well, it is in Arizona.
But I mean, it really
a lot of golf
was,
out there.
It really was a country club, though. They were doing that. Jody Aller is a talk show host. We have, Pat, remember meeting Jody?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
great guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a relative Philly guy.
He's from Lancaster.
Yes, and he does a great job out there in afternoons in mornings in Phoenix. And hearing him talk about it is it's early. It's the honeymoon period of a coach. But Gannon has made great impression Like, you know how we were like, oh, is Sirianni doing this right? Is he like Gannon they were so pissed at Cliff Kingsbury. Like the fan base was so turned off by Cliff Kingsbury. Just being and literally they use the word like he's douchey. And they love Gannon. Like they like his football acumen. They like how he does. And he's been great with the media, which I think is like a Sirianni playbook thing. You know, and Sirianni's always respectful of the media. He doesn't tell you a ton, but he tells you a lot. He says a lot.
Yeah.
I think I heard you say the other day when you were hosting on the weekend, you were saying something like, well, Sirianni will give us an answer of like 500 words.
Yes.
He'll tell us nothing, but we'll still walk away going, oh, yeah.
You'll have something that you could go away with. I don't know. I hate to say I'm rooting against Jonathan Gannon, but I'm very much rooting against him.
Well, we know he's a jerk. Like what he did was jerky.
Right.
To this franchise. There's no excuse making for it.
Yeah. He should be irrelevant right now because the Cardinals are not going to compete for anything, but I can't help but root against the guy. So.
I think they are thrilled to be. I think they want that top pick in the draft next year.
Who wouldn't?
They are not favored, Pat, in any game this year.
That makes sense.
17 games, they are not favored in one of them.
Yeah, they're not very good.
So they're going to be a really, really bad team. By the way, that's New Year's Eve day here at Philadelphia.
Wait, New Year's
Eve day.
So it's New Year's Eve.
It's New Year's Eve, but daytime. It's not a night game.
Gotcha.
It's a 1 o'clock start. Is it the only 1 o'clock start?
Maybe. I don't know. You're scheduled, boy. Tell us.
I think it's the only 1 o'clock start. My buddy Joe complains about the no 1 o'clock starts.
Yeah, I hate it.
I love the 1 o'clock starts. I enjoy them. But I mean,
too.
I enjoy them more on the road than I do at home. Like I sort of like, it feels like a bigger game when it's dark.
I like him in general. I want the rest of my day free. But
you want to be able to do that.
Yes.
What if the game doesn't go your way?
That's fine. I'll drink.
This guy is now going to become a media superstar. Watch. John Kincade Show. 8 o'clock hour here on 97.5 The Fanatic. With the bird. Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. We appreciate you. Black Bear Meats and Cheeses, which are sold exclusively at ShopRite, dropped off several trays of sandwiches this morning. There's an assortment.
Very nice of them.
Isn't that nice? Tina Costello taking good care of us there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is nice. It is very, very nice.
Yeah, it's all Connor stuff in his face. You were
nice little fresh sandwich. He had one little small one. It was delicious. It was the buffalo chicken.
Yeah, it's getting rave reviews from the folks.
Far and wide. Well, free food sort of just always hits, right?
That's probably the number one perk of our job. Even if we don't have free food, you can walk around and find free food. Because somebody in our cluster has got food somewhere.
I would think that one of the other ones is, and maybe it's not for everybody in our industry, I like the fact that I can go to any game I want to. Any game I want to, anytime I want to.
Technically, yes. But I think I would rather wake up every day at 4 a.m. than go sit in a press box.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you not sit next to... Okay, when you go to the press box...
Yeah.
Do you not... I'm trying to think. I mean, I've sat in a press box for hundreds and hundreds of games. Do you not sit next to good people? Or, do you not like the people they sit you next to?
It's clicky. I've found most press boxes... Like, I'll give you an example. I think the Flyers press box is extremely clicky.
It's clicky.
Where you get in there and immediately it's like the scene from Get Out, where it's everyone looking at you like, who the hell is this guy? How dare he come here?
God forbid we grow the tent and promote the team more.
It's very, very at least I've experienced. No one's been like mean to me, but it's just you get the sense of like, oh, all right, who's this guy? What is he? What's he doing here? It's like, all right, bud. We're not curing cancer here. We're watching hockey. I've found
and you watched a lot of bad hockey.
Yeah,
and you're there to promote it.
I've noticed that most press boxes are as exciting as a wake. Like they take the whole. I'm not saying you fanboy it up. I'm not saying that. Okay, like that is inappropriate in a press box, but it's so uber quiet that you would think it is election day at CNN.
I can tell you.
It for me, it sucks the fun out of going to a sporting event where I'd rather watch it from my house than have to wear, adult clothes, head down there, and sit with possibly people I like, but there's also the strong possibility I'm sitting by myself just watching the product going, why did I come?
Okay, I get you.
So I'm not a huge press box fan.
So you're not a huge press box fan. It's funny, it's because people will ask you like what it's like. I said it's pretty good. Now I'm lucky because I have my row 4 crew, the row 4 posse, which by the way is like for the Eagles, I got Taryn Hatcher's down in front of us, John Clark's in front of us.
Oh, you have a good crew.
Jamie Apote's in front of us.
Okay.
Then we've got, I got Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds next to me.
Okay.
I've got Jeff Kerr from CBS. We have a great crew.
You're also you're personable.
I think so.
Yeah, like you'll get there and you'll kind of hold court a little bit and talk and meet.
Me hold court? Come on, Pat.
Well, yeah, it's surprising.
Seriously,
but me, I'm more of a like
sit down and
look around. All right, I don't really notice anybody. Okay, whatever. I'll sit down.
And I will say too that we have we don't get seated in the same side. Like I don't get the same access that the flagship station gets, but I do enjoy seeing the guys from the flagship station.
Yeah, if you know them.
And you know some of them, and you love them too.
Yeah, there's
a few really good ones
that we get together and have knife fights in the parking lot. In fact, it's Anchorman.
I said there's a few good ones over there.
Yeah,
no, in reality,
there's a few that aren't.
It's the reality. They're very good. But I have something that's on my mind as far as I'm going to tell you right now. If I could buy stock, and there used to be there was an app at one time, or not an app or a website or something where you could literally buy stock in people based on their Q rating. And Q rating, in case you don't know, your ability to advertising, marketing, how well you're known. Like we were watching a thing the other night, and Liv was laughing at it because, like, Uncle Shaq is one of the 10 most famous people in the world by as far as being able to be identified. So I'm telling you right now, he's just starting out. He's going to be a star. Doc Rivers is going to be great on television. Doc Rivers is going to be great at the job. And I will tell you this. ESPN got rid of Jeff Van Gundy because they knew he was available. That became one of the cuts. And I have heard that from numerous people. That because they had somebody in Doc Rivers. And by the way, from what I've been told, pretty reliable sources, Doc Rivers isn't working for chump change. Doc Rivers isn't like, well, they say, oh, we have a really cheap, low-cost option now to replace Jeff Van Gundy. They wanted Doc Rivers. And reportedly, Doc Rivers is was really, really good sort of testing out what they think Doc can do. I think Doc, and I think we saw some of it, Pat, on our first Fridays. I think Doc Rivers is going to be a TV star. And I don't think he's ever coaching again. I think coaching's done.
Well, if you remember, and I don't, it might have been Keith told us. I forget, but somebody basically said that he was done coaching after LA. And
he was good at right.
Sixers kind of convinced him to rethink that and decide to take the Sixers job. But he had already reserved himself to, all right, I'm at least taking a year off. I've gotten burnt out. I'm done. And then the Sixers job popped up, and they convinced him
to come back.
To come back. So I agree with you. I think he's completely done.
I think he's done as a coach.
I think he's got his ring. I think he doesn't want to deal with the BS. I mean, you think about what Doc Rivers
in this job,
had to deal with. You come in, the Ben Simmons stuff. You come in, the James Harden stuff. Yeah, I like if that's not enough for a guy that was already
constantly injured, where like you think you've got something special, and then
I mean, for a guy that was on the fence coming into this job about whether or not he wanted to coach, and it's not to mean like he didn't give his
no,
right. He definitely did, but for a guy that was on the fence about it, if that doesn't push you to the far side of I'm never coaching again. I don't know what else will, because you have a point guard who won't shoot and doesn't want to play basketball. Then you have another point guard come in who now wants out, but also the question marks, doesn't really, basically tells management fire me or I'm leaving.
Yes.
And then he wants to leave anyway. Your otherworldly unicorn is constantly injuring something with freak injuries. Yeah, that would push me to a cushy TV gig where all I have to do is break down X's and O's.
He's good. Now, do you
in
like
that job? All you have to do is be personable.
Do you like the idea of Doc with Doris and Breen and all that? You do like,
and
that.
I agree with you. I think he's going to be really, really good at the job. I really liked Van Gundy in that role.
I did too.
I'm interested to see what happens with him. Somebody should scoop him up because he's really, really good.
I think Van Gundy's going to end up with TNT at some point.
I would think so.
He'll end up some role. I think we're going to hear that sooner than later.
But I think Doc's going to do very well. And as you talked about, when he joined us for First Friday, he was very
relaxed,
engaging, relaxed, personable. He was a natural.
When you take pressure off of him, when he's not being quizzed by. I think he's going to be a star. I agree,
and
I'm happy for him.
I'm happy that you'll be able to kind of just be able to enjoy life and you want to worry about the drama.
Now you want to play 12 holes of golf. I want to play 18, and he's a member of Riviera, which is like L.A. spectacular country club.
You already moved?
Yeah, man. No, he's always had a house there.
But he's always been a member. From Philly?
Yeah, I think he's already got his. No, he's already had a house there. He never got rid of one of the houses he had there. To me, that would be a beautiful life. Doing television, be a member at Riviera, play golf all the time. He loves golf.
Yeah, if you love golf, it's a great life.
Coach, congratulations. But I think Doc Rivers will never coach again. I don't think he's ever going to be on the sideline.
I just don't know what more he has to prove.
I think your point was better, though. After what he went through here, like why would he get talked into it again?
Yeah, I mean, look, the odds of that happening in another location are slim to none, but why would you even risk it? He came here thinking, I'm going to get Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. I'll be able to convince Ben Simmons to shoot. I'll untap that potential. And it was a disaster. Like, he realized pretty quickly, I assume, this guy is beyond fixing.
You can teach lessons, but if guys aren't willing to learn the lessons.
No, he wasn't. That was a knock on him coming out of college that I and many Sixers fans ignored. Because you thought, all right, well, he's playing for LSU. Who cares? He doesn't want to go to college. When he gets to the NBA, he'll take it seriously. And it seems like the only thing he takes seriously is his Instagram photo shoots.
I heard, just the whole story as far as knowing the story directly firsthand, how Shaquille reached out to him and tried to help him at LSU, and he was not interested. That was a huge red flag to me. But I wanted Ben Simmons here. I thought Simmons.
Me too.
I thought he was going to be a star, but I also, like you, Pat, in the back of my head, I thought this guy wants to go to LA. Even when he was drafted. We got to make this work fast with Ben Simmons.
Well, it was
because he's going to have his, because everybody talked about LA thing.
Yeah, it was a natural connection.
Right.
Rich Paul's his agent. He's training with LeBron James. LeBron, the LA connection. He's got aspirations for that.
Do you think LA?
It's one of the reasons why I liked watching the Showtime documentary when it came out, because I wanted to see his reaction to the Sixers winning the lottery, and he didn't seem at all angry about it, which was a relief. But he was a guy that, for a city in Philadelphia that had gone through a lot of losing during that time period with really all the teams, you get the number one overall pick, and he was the clear-cut number one overall pick. This wasn't a Mickey Moniak situation where the Phillies took Moniak because they could get a deal on him. Because that year there wasn't a clear-cut number one guy.
I think was Fultz that guy his year?
Yeah, he was, the revisionist history that goes on with
That's
Fultz.
crazy.
All of a sudden, you meet
should never
people.
have picked him.
Yeah, everybody and their mother knew Jason Tatum was going to be a superstar. Okay, I'll tell you, I was producing Devon at the time, the voice of the Sixers on our station.
Yes.
And the amount of people that were calling up, and there were few and far between the Jason Tatum mentions.
Let alone.
Because it was Markelle Fultz or Lonzo Ball. They need a point guard. Those were the two guys.
I think Lonzo Ball was the one everybody was saying, if you're making the decision, I seem like one of the Phillies after they get hit for our YouTube audience. I think it was Lonzo Ball was the one more people were talking about.
Yeah, it was because those were the guys that were slated to go 1-2, and the Sixers were at 3, and the question was, do you take Lonzo at 3 if he drops? Jason Tatum, as I said, and I'm telling you, I remember this, and Devon will back me up, the mentions about taking Jason Tatum at 3 were very few.
I would
and far
imagine
between.
few. Yeah.
And then they traded up, and it was because there was a clear-cut guy at number 1, and it was Markelle Fultz, and you watch his videos from Washington, and you can see why. The guy was talented. Even his Summer League highlights were getting people excited. And then after Summer League, he went and messed up his shoulder with some AAU coach that Bob's discussed quite a bit, and it was all downhill. So you finally get a number one overall pick in a year where there's a clear-cut guy that you didn't have to trade up for, which was Fultz. It was exciting, and you thought, okay, well, he'll get to Philly, and he'll be really, really motivated. And
didn't happen. Did not happen.
Well, the funny thing about, and I've had this conspiracy theory with Ben Simmons for years. So if you watch Ben Simmons with the Sixers, his first summer league, he is literally doing everything that we as a fan base begged him to do for years. He's taking the mid-range jumper.
I remember that.
Taking
coverage.
Jump shots. He looked otherworldly. He looked as advertised. Then he breaks his foot. He's out for a year, could have came back, wanted to win Rookie of the Year, not breaking news there. I think in that year, the analytics department told him that his jump shot was a hindrance to the team and to abandon it. And they spent an entire year telling him, don't even worry about the jump shot. And it got his head. And because he's, soft,
right?
Which hand up, so am I, so I could say. But the guy is so worried about his image that after hearing for a straight year, your jump shot's a hindrance, he took it to heart and he refused to jump. I have a hard time understanding where exactly the disconnect was, because Summer League, rookie year, he's taking jump shots. He comes back a year later, he's not. What happened? my only conclusion is the coaching staff, which I find hard to believe, but more so the analytics department got in his head.
Oh, the analytics department.
But that's a conspiracy theory that I made up in my own mind.
No, I think it's fair.
I have no background on it, but it really jumps out at me when you watch those highlights from Summer League Ben Simmons. You're like, holy crap, that's where's this been when the games mattered? They're not there.
Hey, you may not always need a new water heater, but when you do, choose Bradford White. That wasn't a nice memory lane, Pat. That wasn't a nice memory lane to go down. That was sort of a painful memory lane.
It got better.
It did.
2018, there's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
That was cool.
Things are good.
It's not all doom and gloom.
February 4th, baby.
It's a good day.
Great day. 2/4/18 is a great day.
Remember it well.
Hey, Fanatics Fan Fest, our 10th anniversary Fan Fest with our friends from FanDuel Sportsbook comes up Saturday, August the 26th from 11 to 5 at Xfinity Live. We will have a announcement on Monday of the big headliner musical act. Ray Schwimmer's going to be the opening act. That'll be fun. You're going to have all the Fanatic hosts there, surprise athletes and celebrities. It is going to be the biggest, wildest Fan Fest you've ever seen yet. Now, you got to be 21. So that's one thing that we always run into with people is you're not bringing your kids. This is FanFest. This is an adult event. So we're sorry about that, but he got to be 21. Exotic sports cars, the football toss, the Sixers, Flyers, and Union all on site. It's going to be a great, great time. And we'll have special meet and greets and things like that we want you to be a part of. So you got to be 21 to enter, and you got to have tickets to enter. So, Pat, what would you say today? Connor's back there. They're all back there. What would you say to be able to give
Let's
people
do 2 pairs?
Just 2 today?
Yeah,
just
be
very
Connor's
selective.
been doing a ton.
Yeah,
so
he has been.
I don't want to, overbear him.
He has been doing great.
Usually I'm the guy that goes, let's do 27 pairs.
Yeah, today, 2.
But you know what, Connor? Just 2.
215-263-0975. 215-263-0975. And we'll look forward to seeing you at FanFest. Pat says, well, don't worry about missing any Phillies moves before lunch.
Yes. I guess I'll hit my open.
That's all right. You don't have to hit your open.
Nope, too late.
This
You did.
is Pat's point of view.
Done.
Here's Pat.
It's totally your option.
So we discussed this.
They left us alone to do the show, so pretty much.
They discussed this. We discussed this at the start of the show with the trade deadline looming, and you brought up a couple times like, if there's any news coming, Pat will
break
in. There's no news coming before lunch. None. First of all, trades don't go down for whatever reason in the morning.
Why is that?
It's always late at night. It's always like midnight. You'll see the
Why,
news
though?
trickle. I don't know. I guess GMs go to bed. Nobody wakes up early and starts grinding it out. But Dave Dombrowski, especially with the 6 p.m. deadline, I wouldn't expect, and Connor brought it up, I wouldn't expect any moves until 4 o'clock. He is going to wait until the very last moment to strike a deal because he's going to be paying less. Because if you're
playing poker.
Yeah, if you're a team that is got no shot of winning and you're selling and you've got a tradable asset who's a rental piece, what's the point of keeping him? So Dave Dombrowski's going to sit back and really wait it out and try to get that piece for the 22nd
See that price
prospect.
go lower, right?
Yeah, as opposed to the 18th prospect. Dombrowski talked about last year how they kind of went for it a little bit in terms of giving up higher priced assets. Logan O'Hoppe, top 100 prospect. Mickey Moniak, former top 100 prospect, former number 1 overall pick. They gave up a lot last year in order to get Syndergaard and Marsh, but they felt like it was worth it. And Dombrowski said this year he doesn't expect to do that, which is good.
Okay.
If you want to protect the system, it's great. But it also tells you, because of that, his spending limit that he set for himself, it's kind of like you going to Vegas. He put his spending limit in an envelope. And he's not moving from that envelope.
Yep.
He's just waiting until the sales start rolling in of, going out of business sale. Because of that, I wouldn't expect a deal to be reached before 4 p.m. It was frustrating yesterday because you're watching a bunch of teams make moves. A lot of moves were for some bats that you might go, oh, man, they might look good in a Phillies uniform. A couple of guys were even hinted at being a Phillies target. Pitchers were going, bats were going, relievers were going, and the Phillies were just sitting on their hands. But that's what Dave Dombrowski's kind of done for the 3 years he's been here.
He has.
He's waited until the last moment. And he did it with, the Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy trade 2 years ago. He did it last year with the Marsh Syndergaard trade. And the Syndergaard trade came that might have been after the deadline. And as he talked about, you'll see
it was right to it.
You'll see trades trickle in after the deadline because the commissioner's office is just getting word of it, and they haven't filed the paperwork yet, but they got it in. So you'll see trades after 6 p.m. probably until about 6:40 trickle in, but that was right up until the last moment. And Syndergaard was a $20 million one-year deal. Angels were out of it. They were probably trying to get more, and Dombrowski stood still. So I wouldn't expect a situation where you see a lot of deals trickle in until halfway through the best show ever at 4 p.m. And
so in other words, Tyrone Johnson,
he'll get
goes on vacation.
But there's a chance
comes back and he's going to get all the trades.
Well, there's a chance that Tyrone is signing off.
While there's still stuff coming in.
He's going, there's no trades. And then Devon gets the trades. Like, I really think you're going to see a situation where at the earliest, it'll be 4 p.m. More likely, it's 5 to 6. And then there might be one after 6 p.m. that trickles in that's for a reliever or something like that. Right. But Dombrowski isn't going to sit there and as Jamie would like to say, Jamie would always say, set the market, set the market. Dombrowski's not going to do that.
No, don't set the market.
He's told you he's not going to do that. Now, at this point, there is no setting the market. It's the trade deadlines today. Right. But I don't see him having a deal by, next hour. No. I don't even see him having a deal by 12 o'clock because he's just going to wait it out. Keep waiting.
We'll keep waiting. I'm not expecting anything wild today, so you guys have sort of sucked the life out of me on that.
Why we suck the life out?
As far as I think you're smart. No, I think you're smart because I trust your sort of vision on this.
There's going to be nothing.
That's going to move the needle.
Okay, they could strike a deal for Verlander. That might get you excited.
Well, I said to you, that would not me, by the way. I said to you,
the fan base would probably get a little bit excited.
The fan base would go nuts. Verlander. Yes. Well, Kate Upton.
What up?
Yay.
Hello.
What I would say to you is that I put it at this, and earlier on in the show today, I said to Pat and to Connor, am I going to have to Google whoever the Phillies acquire today? Yeah. Is it going to be a player that a known commodity that I can go, oh, I know him. I watch baseball every night. But there are guys every trade deadline where I go, wait a minute, I got to Google this.
I don't think you'll have to Google the position player. If they go get a bat, you might have to Google to see how they're doing this season, but you'll recognize the name.
I've said it for
reliever, you'll have to probably Google.
I've said it for weeks, and it's been the name that I've stuck to. And I absolutely love the guy coming into this team if they go and get Adam Duvall.
I'd be fine with that.
I absolutely would love to see them get Adam Duvall.
It'd be cool.
And that would be the one that I would like to. That's the guy.
Anybody that gets Jake Cave not playing baseball for this.
I don't mind what he's done, Jake Cave, but
he does. But he's not Duvall. He's not Teoscar Hernandez. He's not anybody that you could get.
Duvall got $7 million this year, so that means he's due 2.5 at the most on his contract. I absolutely would grab Adam Duvall and bring him in here, and I promise you this. Adam Duvall would be great in this locker room, great with this team. It's a perfect fit. I'm hoping that that's the move we're going to get. All right, coming up, I saw maturity and leadership from a guy that I didn't question it, but I did wonder whether he had it. He's got it. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. It's here.
In Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. 8 o'clock hour is winding down. Pearls, black ripe olives have nothing added but sea salt and water. No artificial colors or preservatives. For quality you can trust, look for the sunny yellow can at your local grocery store. I heard today's supposed to be like another sort of great day like yesterday, a little bit warmer. You like the warmth.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday you would have been going nuts. It was the best golf day ever we could have had July 31st.
I appreciate you telling me how awesome yesterday was and how much I would have loved it.
Hey, you got to host the best show ever yesterday.
I know.
And you did a great job with it.
I'm not complaining. No.
He would have rather golfed.
I don't know that I
I'll
would
say
have.
for you, bud. I know that we're trying to be a good soldier here, and I'm so happy. You would have rather golfed. Like,
I think you would have rather
it's a great opportunity to host the best show ever. You're on TV. It's 2 to 6. It's good. It's a big spot, no doubt. That's still work. That's still golf. He would have rather golfed. I'll say it for you.
On that course, too, is that if the one comment I kept having about Turtle Creek yesterday is people saying, I've never even heard of this place before. This is the most amazing track. And then I realized they've got the turf business right next door. They have the most beautiful, they have the science of growing grass down pat.
It was a great course.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and as you laid out, the weather was great.
Oh my gosh.
No complaints.
Ride the carts. And I don't know if you've ever done this, Connor, at any other track. You only ride the carts on the fairway.
Oh, really?
Never in the rough. You just do straight across. You do straight across in the rough, and you keep the carts in the fairway. So you're thinking, wait a minute, that's counterculture. That's not right.
We got yelled at quite a bit
because you kept making that mistake.
Yeah, it's
because it's counter to the way you're used to playing.
It's called rough. So let's get rough.
They like their rough to be not because
they like it rough.
These courses wear down the rough.
Right.
You get when you were in the rough yesterday, Pat. Compared to other courses you played, you get some really nice fluffy rough.
Right, sits up a little bit.
You would have literally torn it up.
Well, I appreciate people who put a lot of emphasis on growing good grass. So I would have appreciated that about Turtle Creek, for sure.
I figured you like good grass. Yeah. I figured it's very things that you would enjoy.
Fairway, rough.
There we go. Others,
fringe,
other
green.
kinds
I'm
too.
talking golf here.
I figured. You know,
you guys were talking marijuana.
Marijuana?
Jesus, man.
I don't even know what that is.
Marijuana?
I'm on to you guys.
You could do that. I feel bad about I almost feel bad about this topic, but I wanted to mention it from something I read yesterday and then something I saw watching Birds Huddle. Darius Slay, for some reason, and it's just completely, I guess, a bias on my part, like thinking, what do I think I know about Darius Slay? Is that for whatever reason, I guess I just assumed that Darius Slay was sort of like this showman, and leadership probably wasn't top of his game. But I've watched how he's handled this Matt Patricia situation being brought on as a coach. And I saw the other day where the two of them, how they worked out and sort of sat down and worked through their issues with each other. And now, Darius Slay didn't have a choice. Like, they were doing this. But I really admire the fact that before the move was done, that Nick Sirianni took the time to call him and go, okay, here's what we're doing. This might not be comfortable for you. I'd like you two to work this out and try to find a way to be able to get together with each other. I'm really impressed because I would have thought, just by my whatever bias I have in my head, or going that Darius Slay would have been like, oh, I don't like this crap. Like, I don't like this guy being here.
Yeah. He would have had every right to as well.
Yeah, from some of the stuff we've heard, yes.
But that's big of him to settle that. And also, if I'm Matt Patricia, I don't know if I'm interested in taking this job. as rough as he was when he was the head coach in Detroit, he's still a guy that has that Belichick coaching tree pedigree. They could get a job somewhere. I know the Eagles are an attractive job, but I'm sure it's awkward for him too. It's not just because he was in the position of power there as the head coach that it's not a weird situation. So credit to both of these guys for coming together early and putting this in a situation where hopefully it won't affect the Eagles' ability to play this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's Pat, I was surprised because I guess I figured that the looming Matt Patricia thing was, okay, you're bringing somebody in that might disrupt the chemistry, might disrupt the energy around this club, and it appears that's absolutely was a non-factor. And that Slay took the aggressive approach to make sure that this all got worked out before they had to really work together.
I was certainly worried about that.
I was.
But I would hope that Matt Patricia's been humbled since he lost his head coaching position, which I feel like happens to a lot of Belichick disciples. They get a head coaching job because they've been anointed the boy wonder, the next Belichick guy. They get to the job. They think that they are Belichick, so they try to be, Harry Hardo. It doesn't work out, and then they have to go back to daddy. I mean,
Joe Judge.
Bill Belichick.
Joe Judge,
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels.
They all run back to daddy.
Well, that's because they all try to be daddy.
And Matt Patricia, to his credit, realized in order to probably get another head coaching job quicker, I probably have to get out of Bill Belichick's shadow. So let me go somewhere else. I would hope that he's kind of done a little self-reflecting and changed his ways that turned off Darius Slay, of all people, who seems pretty coachable and pretty easy to get along with.
Yeah, it certainly does.
I do wonder how much they're actually going to interact.
So you don't think it's going to be
I mean, I think it's like he's not his position coach.
No, I get you.
So, how much is he really going to have to deal with Matt Patricia on a
I think
daily
it's
basis?
more, it's you and MBG. Notorious, one of our fine...
she searches me out, so it's a little bit different.
You two have a great attachment, though.
I don't see Joe. I don't see...
Joe Z. You and Joe Z.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I see him, but I kind of just ignore him.
You try to ignore Joe Z.
And Joe Z will try to talk to me, and I just go, I fake like I'm on a phone call. And I think that's what probably Darius Slay will do.
So Joe puts the earbud in. He always, you notice he does that.
Oh, every time, yeah.
That's his favorite thing. Oh, no.
He's not actually talking.
I'm on a call.
But it would be like if you and Josie had worked previously together and you publicly said that you didn't have respect for him in his position.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And then you had to work together again somewhere else. It's not just cold shoulder-esque. There was too much out there in public knowledge that they had to address it by talking to each other and come out and say that they had.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it's a lot easier for Darius Slay to go, all right, yeah, it's all cool when he's not the DC and he's not his position coach.
I think that's true. Yeah, I think that's too. He doesn't have to on a daily basis.
If all you have to do is just say hi to the guy in the hallway, it's a lot easier to deal with him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Totally agree.
Yeah,
but if it was a DC, I think he might have, I'm not saying he would have, but he might have had a little more pushback regarding it. But ultimately, he said the right things. He said, whatever you think's best for the team.
I have so many people that I sort of feel weird about it that I look at it and go, yeah, I misjudged Darius Slay. And I loved when we had Darius Slay last year at FanFest. He was freaking awesome. I mean, he was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So much fun. But I sort of always saw him as sort of Hollywood.
Get kind of goofy, always joking around.
But Hollywood. Like he'd be, sort of above the frame. He seems like very much the everyman. Like he's very good with people.
Yeah, he seems very easy to get along with.
So
he was. He came to Philly and he was named a team captain, which I know for him meant a lot. I think our buddy Zach Berman did a whole article about him in the Athletic about it. He had spent his entire career in Detroit. He was one of the best players there, but his goofy nature and is kind of keeping the locker room loose didn't really lend towards many coaches' idea of a leader. And he came to Philly, and it's probably one of the reasons why he wanted to come back so badly. He comes back to Philly, and Nick Sirianni goes, yeah, all right, this guy's goofy, but he does have leadership qualities. And I definitely think you did see that in our brief interaction at FanFest.
Yeah, no question.
A guy that's not taking it too seriously, but is able to kind of be goofy, and I think every team needs that guy. Especially when the guy's good.
Is that because you are that guy?
I would put myself more Drew Stubbs, but that's just me.
You're more Stubbs?
Garrett Stubbs?
Garrett Stubbs?
Oh, my God. I always say Drew.
Well, I always say Christian Sanchez.
Because there was the outfielder for the Reds for years, Drew Stubbs. He was
right.
He was
How could we forget?
He was the first Stubbs in my life, and for whatever reason, I always called Garrett Stubbs Drew Stubbs. Somebody called me on it on Twitter, and he's like, "I don't know if you're meaning to say this, but you keep doing it." And I said, "Yeah, well, Drew was."
Thank
my
you,
first
Mr.
Stubbs.
Perfect on Twitter.
No, he wasn't saying it combatively at all. He was just pointing out, like, I don't know why
people never do that on Twitter. So.
Yeah, well, you can kind of tell when.
Or the X.
But I sent him Drew Stubbs' illustrious baseball reference page and said, this is who I'm referring to.
It's hard not to think about that, Drew Stubbs.
I can't knock that Drew Stubbs feeling in my life.
9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get your stay at Home Depot and Lowe's. For details, go to Bagster.com. So yesterday during Anthony's show, I don't know if you heard this, and Pat, you were on the golf course, so you definitely didn't. So I had texted Anthony and Andrew, and I was sitting across from them underneath the tent, that the great Paul Reubens had died. And I say the great Paul Reubens. I was a fan of Paul Reubens from his days on Letterman, before he was big Pee Wee Herman and Pee Wee's Big Adventure and everything I loved. And I had gone to Letterman a few times when he was there, and he was freaking hilarious. He was absolutely awesome. So the news came, so I texted them and said Pee Wee Herman had died. So Anthony, in the midst of an update, tells Chunas, "Hey, Chunas, the actor who played Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens, has died." And I'm in the tent, and I go, "Ha, ha, ha, ha." And Anthony's like, "What the hell was that?"
It's your Pee Wee Herman impression.
Anthony didn't know any of it.
Well,
And
did you
he says-
expect him
He
to?
goes, "Hearing you do that," he goes, "that's like cringeworthy."
well, maybe you should.
I said, I think it's cringeworthy that you're not, first of all, that you don't grasp Pee Wee Herman. I think that's the cringeworthy thing, cuz.
Maybe Anthony, for him, maybe a better Paul Reubens impression would have been if you went to a movie theater with a bottle of lotion. Maybe he would have gotten that reference.
Like his favorite holiday.
And I'm not criticizing that, some of those scenes.
You know his
can be
favorite holiday?
spicy.
What's his favorite holiday?
Oh, he's so proud of this one, Connor. Look, he's having trouble. He's having trouble getting out. He's so proud. Go ahead.
The week before Easter on the calendar. Pat, you get it?
Good Friday? The week before Easter?
The week before Easter. The Sunday before Easter.
Oh, Palm Sunday.
Pee Wee, and I love.
I bet you Connor doesn't even know this story.
Do you even know that story?
I had a
He got
general
busted
idea
in
they had
Florida at a adult theater.
Yeah, it's called The Forum.
How do you know the
There
name
was
of
a
it?
movie playing at the time, Connor, called Harry Potter and the Chamber of Sequins. Or Harry Peter, I'm sorry. Harry Peter
And the
Chamber. It was about a magical boy who had a large wand.
I thought it was The Legend of Bagger's Pants.
No.
I thought that was the one. Connor's like, what?
No, that was Andrew Beckett.
That was Andrew Beckett
From Philadelphia.
As far as that one. So
what am I supposed to do responding to any of
but
this?
Anthony goes, "I think it's cringeworthy, Chunas, that he's doing like the Paul, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, I think it's cringeworthy that you don't really embrace Pee Wee Herman.
Why would you expect Anthony to be a Pee Wee Herman guy? I mean,
no, but somebody who is like a cinephile. Like I consider Anthony a cinephile, like Pat.
yeah, he likes drama, though.
But the thing is, though, usually for a cinephile, you're more broad because then you can actually make your comparisons and stuff and say, I don't like that. I think Anthony dismisses a lot of stuff and says, I just don't like it.
Absolutely, he does. And that's why it shouldn't be surprising to you. Like, as much as
that is the truth. That's not for me. But Anthony knows himself. He knows what he likes.
Yes.
And Anthony's going to go to a restaurant. I guarantee you, he knows the restaurant. He's rolling in. He's like, look, I know this menu. I know what they do great. And that's me, too. But I tend to be very rigid with that. What I like about Pat is Pat's very diverse. Like, you've got you've watched weird movies. You've watched, by the way.
I watch a movie every day on X videos.
Really?
Yeah.
So you knew some of these titles.
Just try to broaden my horizons.
That Quiet Place, by the way, stupidest waste of time I've ever wasted time on.
Oh, I like that movie.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I liked it.
Is that the one
gosh.
with John Krasinski?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I made the worst decision of all time with that movie.
What was it?
I put it on while I was trying to fall asleep, And all that movie is like 20
Jump
minutes
scares.
of dead silence and then the loudest sound in the world.
And then jump scares.
Yeah.
I honestly,
the bed like 3
I can't,
times.
Pat, I'm shocked.
Oh, when he signed to his daughter, that got me.
Oh my gosh, it's
I loved
just it is. I mean, I'm like, are you?
Yeah, there's a lot of holes in it, but I enjoy
I'm like, are
it.
you kidding me? I'm like, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Some of these.
What'd you think it was? Thought it was a
No,
like
but
a
I thought it
movie
was
about
going to
Enya?
be. No, but I thought it was going to be something that had me sort of like edge of the seat.
Wow.
It's
I mean, the
not.
first like 5 minutes they do
Yes.
get you.
Yeah.
I mean, they did.
Right.
Well, the movie's been out for a bit. They did end
No
up,
spoilers.
killing a kid in
Yes.
like the first like
No
5,
spoilers.
10 minutes.
That's been out for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, a kid ends up getting taken by one of the
Monsters?
The monsters, yeah.
Which
ends
didn't
up-
scare me, by the way.
Well, okay.
There you go.
Oh, so why don't you
Big
brag
tough
about
guy
that? It didn't
Kincade.
scare me. I'm Mr. Tough Guy. I'm John Kincade.
Michael Myers scares me.
See, that crap
Those things
doesn't-
didn't scare me.
That crap doesn't scare. And like,
A real person, like a real human being.
Michael
scares
Myers
me.
isn't real,
No,
John. He
Michael-
can't
yeah,
hurt
he's not
you.
real.
No, Michael Myers is a movie, but he's human.
They blew him up and he didn't die. He's not a human. That guy's
not.
something
He's
different.
Satan.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris on a cell joins us. Chris, what's going on, brother?
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, man, good to hear from you.
Touching on Pee Wee Herman, I have a
Touching on Pee Wee Herman? Seriously, Chris?
Ah,
Ah!
yeah, that was a good one. I have a legit leisure suit with the white shoes, and I was Pee Wee Herman 5 years in a row, and biggest hit at any party that I went to.
You're kidding me. You did the Pee Wee Herman.
It was very expensive, but I still have it, and I played the part well. Got the haircut, just, everything.
So you did that. Now, the weird thing is, my wife says last night, because he started to do more dramatic roles, like he started to do other things, and she goes, he wasn't a bad-looking guy. She goes, but as Pee Wee Herman, he just looked like a real dork, so I'm sure you were killing it with the ladies.
No, that's the only thing that we differ from each other there.
Great.
I had my buddy dress up as the couch, and he didn't wear it long, but yeah, we won. I won every contest that I went to because
Was it the couch or was it Cherry?
it was cherry.
Cherry. Now,
Yeah.
Connor's looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Good job, Chris. The Pee Wee Herman's Saturday morning show that Tyrone and I were both fans of.
Yeah, what? Pee Wee's Playhouse or
Pee Wee's
whatever it's
Playhouse.
called?
It was an adult cartoon show,
Yeah.
but it wasn't meant for children. The jokes were over the kid's head.
But there was, I'm
But
guessing,
kids
a chair
would love it. There was a chair
named Cherry.
named Cherry that he talked to.
Yeah, I
By
can
the
see
way,
why Anthony would be out on this.
Lawrence Fishburne, famous actor,
I've heard of him.
was part of Pee Wee's Playhouse. He was on Pee Wee's Playhouse. You didn't know really Lawrence Fishburne.
No, I know Lawrence.
No, but
Fishburne.
you didn't at the time.
Oh, you didn't know who
no.
he was.
I mean, he was, and then there was Zombie the Genie.
This feels too weird for me.
Really, like, no,
I'm out.
It does seem like, Pat, that show, and I know you've had to have seen it.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it.
No.
See, to me, it was like it was supposed to be somebody's like they were high, and they were watching that. Like it was meant to be like Sid and Marty Krofft, which did all the shows when I was a child that you guys didn't have, that literally were Sid and Marty Krofft probably doing acid, and they came up with concepts for TV shows.
That's fun.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
Well, Sid and Marty Krofft, they were they were innovators.
Not really an acid guy, more of a bass guy, but I'm good with whatever.
9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. For details, go to bagster.com. You do not, though, I mean, as a critic.
Well, let's use that
Well,
term
you're a
loosely.
critic, right?
Use that term loosely.
I've watched
I I'll review stuff, but
well, that means it makes you a critic
I guess.
because you give your opinion on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the press box thing. You walk into these movie screenings and the people that are.
Oh, yeah.
it's just-
Okay,
I
get
don't
you.
like being associated with them. They're
I get
kind of
you.
miserable people.
Really? So you find
well,
them to
'cause
be...
You are a ray of sunshine, Pat. I wouldn't want to associate you with.
well, there's
a lot of them will go in looking to, like, I'll go into every movie hoping that it's my favorite movie of all time, and I think they go in looking to nitpick because that is their job, is to be critical.
Well, the weird
I'm
thing...
looking to like it.
Weird thing is there's a...
Kiss my ass, Connor.
There's one of our fine listeners yesterday at the golf tournament said he goes, you're big. He goes, I love the fact that you guys will still talk about the Flyers even though you don't talk about them a lot, but you'll still talk about them. He goes, but boy, this Flyers guy, he obviously has something out for you. He doesn't dig you. He doesn't like you.
What guy?
Well, I'm not going to give his name. I'll give you his name off the air.
Okay.
And I went.
His name's Jonesy.
And I went, who? Like, I have no idea. And I should know. So I'm not saying like he's a nobody or anything. I should know, I guess. But I didn't know. And he goes, yeah, he always is picking at you. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I said, and he goes, you worked in the NHL. I said, yeah. I worked for a coaching staff. I worked for broadcasts. I said, yeah. So if he has an opinion about hockey, and that's fine. I said, he can have his opinion. I can have mine. I said, but I had no idea. And he goes, that doesn't bother you? I said, if I don't hear somebody's opinion, I guess it doesn't bother me. And even if I do, I give opinions all day. And that's how I tried to explain to him. We give opinions all day. We criticize Dave Dombrowski. We criticize Rob Thompson. If you can't be criticized, then you can't succeed in this business.
You can't succeed in any business. That's just part of life. Criticism is part of life.
And more importantly, he's like, well, I think he's a dope. And I'm like, okay. I said, yeah. I go, I said, then you know what? I said, but for everybody who thinks that that says he's a dope for criticizing me, there's somebody who goes, yeah, you're right. Kincaid's the dope. I said, so don't worry about it. I appreciate it. I appreciated the fact that the guy's like thinking I had my back. I posted a few times going, who the hell are you? Nobody even knows who you are. I said, I hate that worse than anything.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. Because there are guys that you don't, and ladies, that are not known in media who do freaking great work. And they're not known as well, but they do great work. And by the way, I read their stuff. I try to follow them. I try to attribute to them. But I hate that when someone says that. Well,
yeah.
But he's a nobody. I'm like, no, he's just.
So who is this guy again? Pat will cut it.
Pat will know.
Pat just cut the feed. You can tell us.
I think Pat will know him.
Probably will.
I did not know him, but then I realized.
I'm probably good friends with him.
Just us three.
But then I realized that I actually followed him. Because I've read some of his stuff and I've found it to be good.
Do know.
We're narrowing it down.
You do know?
Take a guess. We'll tell you if you hit it.
Pat, you're going to give me a guess, and we'll get to that. Hey, the Eagles, they're heavy favorites. We'll get to it next. 9 o'clock hour brought to you by the Bagster. Cuz Radio comes your way at 10 here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Got to tell you about the best sportsbook John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Again, Pat, you tweeted it out, right? The link for First Friday?
Yeah, just go to 975 JK Show.
975 JK Show. If you want to try to get in, I'm not sure that we have I'm not necessarily sure we have a spot, but get in. And if you want to be a part of it.
Link and figure that out.
Right. Give it a shot. And so Jeff McClain joins us. I'm very excited to talk to Jeff McClain.
Me too.
Considering I do believe his podcast the best in Philly last year.
Agreed. Yeah.
I guess it's this year.
Yeah,
Uncovering the Birds.
It's still 2023.
It's this year. I think it's the best that I've experienced here in Philly.
You need your Birds fix, and you're not dialed into practice.
But he didn't go obvious.
Place to go. No, that's what I liked about it.
Exactly. That's the thing with me. That is absolutely the thing with me. By the way, I've had 3 people on DM. Pat guessed the person.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
And then I had 3 people on DM tell me who the person was, and they all were right. And I would just say this.
Sounds like this person sucks.
No. Don't do that. Don't be them.
Well,
don't be that. But don't be them.
Like this person's named Dylan McKinnon.
Don't be them, because what I would say to you is this. So this person speaks on a local podcast.
Right.
And they criticize this radio station. They criticize, they think they're an expert and everything like that. Here's what I would say to you. Is that they're every bit entitled to their opinion as we are.
Yeah.
But here's one thing that you don't do. If you're not a jackass, you don't tear down other media members, especially when you've never been one. You've never been one. Don't go out of your way to tear down other media members that you work against or whatever. We talked about earlier today. Pat and I both, over the years, you've had some of it with, being involved with the station and everything. Like, I can't think of a guy that I don't like down the street.
No, I
agree. At the other station. Is that like, there's no reason to be going out of your way to tear down. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and I don't mean it to be like that. I just say if you put out what you said about how this person interacts with people.
These people all knew that he goes, he's the guy. Constantly trashing you, constantly.
I don't know this person from Adam.
Yes.
But if that's the response from people, that just says a little to me about how that person's perceived.
Yeah, more importantly, that I don't know their resume.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't know their resume. I'm not going to tear them down. I don't know what they're I don't. But to me, don't be a jackass. And if you're trying to get into the media and you're trying to become a media figure, there's no reason to do that. There's no reason to tear down other people. Like, just go out of your way to tear down other people. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And so it's just that is surprising. Bradford White water heaters. You may not always need a new water heater, but when you do, choose Bradford White. Bradford White is here for the pro. So the Birds are underdogs this year. 3 times.
Yes.
Tell me when.
At the Chiefs.
Correct. How much would you think? Pat, the line is set. You could place a bet today on every single game of the season. The Birds are underdogs at the Chiefs. What do you think the line is?
Go with 3.5.
Yeah, that feels good. I'm going to go 4.5.
3. That's a little weird to me that it wouldn't be at least the hook.
Yeah, but it's early.
I wouldn't take the Birds without the hook. I wouldn't take the 3. I don't like 3 bets.
Right.
I don't like 3. I always want 3.5.
Yeah.
Or something. So there's one. Give me another, Pat. Give me another game where they're so we know one of the 3 games they're an underdog.
Buffalo.
Nah.
No, they're favorite. They're at home.
Okay.
They're at home.
On the road versus the Cowboys.
1. The Birds are a +1 in that game. They're +3 against the Chiefs, +1 at the Cowboys. And you know that could change late in the season. Any one of these could change due to injury or otherwise. Do you know the last one?
I have a feeling.
Yes.
On the road against the Jets.
Yes. 1. Do you know, and I'd like to thank the people at this one is, I want to make sure, Odd Shark. The 5 points, the Birds being underdogs by just 5 collective points all season long, best since it's been tracked.
Wow. Love that. And they've got a tough schedule, too.
And they do have a tough schedule. The Birds being favorites in 14, and then just 5 points. It's the lowest margin of points they've been underdogs against for an entire season ever, as long as they've tracked this. which is around, I think, 25 years or 27 years, I think is the season. I'm not exactly sure. So do I ask, is this the best Eagles team ever?
Oh.
Well, I mean, they've never been. This is supposed to be a tougher schedule than last year.
Yeah.
And they're favored more than they've ever been. Their underdog margin is 5 collective points for the entire year in 3 games. That's amazing.
No,
that really is amazing.
But they can't be right now because, and I'm not just even saying, oh, it's too early. You have a brand new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator who have never held the position before.
Okay.
Just looking at that, solely based on that, I'm not ready to put them in that conversation because I don't know what these guys are in their positions. Like last year, you were bringing back guys at those positions. And that carries weight in addition to the players.
Okay.
But I can't call a team who hasn't played a game and has 2 guys in important positions who have never coached in those positions before the best team ever.
The only thing I would say to you is the odds makers, Pat, are obviously I don't want to say discounting, but the odds makers, the people who dispassionately look at the game, they look at the Eagles less critically than we do. I guess that should be expected, right?
Yes.
Because we examine it to death every day.
Yeah, I mean, we were like, hypothetically speaking, we're tailgating jersey releases. Like that's how much. Now, I don't think anyone would do that, but that's how much we care in this city.
Yes.
To use an example, that if there was a new jersey release, I could see people on a Monday tailgating that. That's how much we care. Vegas has to worry about all the teams.
That is the truth. But also, too, aren't they supposed to take the passion out of it?
Well, I mean, as you said a lot, they have to they set a line where they're trying to bait the public. So for the Eagles, like they're gonna put a line where they know that Eagles fans will flood in via a pro Eagles line. Okay. So I think that's part of it too.
All right, that's part of it there, which is good. I mean, it's like, to me, there's just such a I don't know, is it like, I think maybe we're being too that we're putting more, we are absolutely factually, we're putting more into the new coordinators than Vegas is.
Yeah, we have to. Like, we have different things at stake than Vegas does. Vegas is using algorithms and data and experience to set lines for wagers. We're trying to find out by talking ourselves out of this team, and we can't, by the way, because they're so good, but we're trying to talk ourselves out of why this team isn't amazing, because that's the only talking point around the Eagles right now.
And is it because of the fact, too, that we're not comfortable with amazing?
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think it's
because I know. No, you see, now for me, it's weird. Like you may be of a different generation, and you are, but to me, I'm uncomfortable with amazing because the Birds, like it's so important to me. Yeah, as a fan, it's more important to me than anything that I ever allow myself to as a fan. That when I hear my team is amazing and set up for a run, like who's the page having chemo brain here.
You gotta give us something.
Dyes his hair way too black. Played for the. He's passed. Thank you. God rest his soul. Played for the Patriots. Had the stroke.
Teddy Bruschi.
Yeah. Teddy Bruschi's just like, he said nobody. They did a little thing on NFL Live the one day and just like nobody is set up to be the Patriots run more than the Eagles.
No, I get you. Yeah, but
when I hear that, it makes Connor, it makes me jump off the couch. Like, it gives me like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Yeah, when I hear somebody say that.
For me, my childhood growing up was 4 straight NFC championship games. I got to watch their first Super Bowl. Like, my lifetime has been success for the Eagles. So maybe I'm more comfortable with amazing. And also, if you didn't come to terms with it last year, that was a great opportunity to. Because we came into that season saying, hey, if Jalen Hurts is good, this team is stacked to the gills, and they were. So I don't know. I'm used to seeing good football in this town in my lifetime.
See, I'm used to seeing good football recently, but there's just one of the things is I never want to. I'm much more, if someone tells me the Phillies are going to have a great year.
Yeah.
It means a little less to me than the Eagles. Right. It's like I go, okay, it's 162. Anything can happen. When someone tells you have a good football team, and I wrote about it this morning at 97.5thefanatic.com, because I have kept ledgers and little notebooks as long as I've done this job. So going on like 30 years now. And I did shows back at ESPN with Mark Schlereth. And Stink will join us before the season, talk a little bit about this Eagles team. And all I can tell you is Schlereth he's all in. He's all in on the Eagles being incredible. So I think it'll make everybody very happy when you hear Stink talk about it. But I went back and I looked, and once doing a show with him, I was saying, I think this team's overrated going into the year. This team's overrated. This team's overrated. And he literally just said to me as a co-host, he goes, okay. And we didn't talk the topic before. And he says, I want to ask you something. I said, yeah. And he said, here's how I determine whether a team is overrated or not. What did you think about last year's accomplishments that was like didn't make sense? Like they had the year they had didn't make sense, so they'll never be able to replicate that. What was the thing that was just so outlandish that happened last year? Because if they had a great year and you can't tell me those things, in the NFL, history tells you they're going to be great again. He said in the NFL, more than any sport, tells you, and he's a guy who played in it, Super Bowl champ and everything, and he's like, if you tell me, oh, this team's overrated, well, last year they had a great year. Well, then tell me what was flukish about last year. That's the word he used. Tell me something flukish.
Here's what people would say about the Eagles.
What was flukish last year?
They delivered every single starter healthy to the Super Bowl.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a really
good one.
That may be the best one.
Great
That's
job,
the
Connor.
only
Kill
one.
it.
Good answer. Number one answer. Yeah, on the board there.
Show me injuries.
No, that probably is the best answer.
Yeah, it's the only one.
It's the only one?
It's the only one.
I think Pat might have one. I just have a feeling that Pat might be able to think of one.
I'm not coming up with a better one than that.
No, not a better one. But I think like the one thing I would say is that you like one of the things I said is that okay, I tried to come up with why would I doubt if I was going to say the Eagles aren't going to be great again? What would be a reason? I'm like, okay, go on.
I don't like doing it, but I'll point to Jalen Hurts.
And what specifically? Because I wrote about this morning. I want to see if you do the same thing I did.
He was arguably the MVP last year. Doesn't win it because of Pat Mahomes, understandable. But even he finishes second. And the last time we had a quarterback in a similar situation, and granted that guy was coming off an injury,
right?
But he never got to that level. He fell off.
He never got back to where there was.
Yeah.
Right?
Now look, you could point to the injury. You could point to his attitude, but there is a tinge of fear, and it's not large, it's probably 2%, that Jalen Hurts will fall off. And it was kind of that fluke Michael Vick year with the Eagles where he also was an MVP candidate. And then after that, he kind of reverted back to being, Mike Vick, who had trouble reading defenses and would take off running all the time. And I don't think that's going to be a problem for Jalen Hurts, but if they were to struggle, I might look there.
Well, I thought of Jalen Hurts as a scrambling quarterback. How much time he uses his feet. And then I had to just go to the best quarterbacks from the pocket, and he was number one. So, I mean, at that point, I'm like, okay, he's a pocket passer. He's the best pocket pass. He was the best pocket passer last year.
That's why I go to it's about a 2% fear for me.
Right.
Because there's nothing that's shown me that he will fall off. Like Carson Wentz falling off, he's coming off an injury. He rushes himself back.
Right.
He re-injures himself. The attitude problem, we haven't heard that being an issue at all. In fact, it's been one of his strengths of Jalen Hurts. But sports is weird. And that's why I put it at like 1 to 2%.
Okay. And I think that's fair. I think that's a fair number.
So damn good.
He was amazing. Year. But I thought it was great analysis by Stink to just go, and he waited, and he just pasted me. And I wrote in my notes, he owned me on this, and I circled it. It's like, he owned me on this because every team that I was saying was overrated, I wasn't able to come up with something that I go, okay, well, that was totally outlandish what happened.
Right. It was just kind of a feel thing, I guess.
Yeah, it was a feel thing. Like, they're not going to do that again. And he's like, in the NFL, when a team shows you they're great at something, tell me the team that shows you that unit is not great again. He said, you will spend so much time going, well, I could come up with 10 examples where the great team is great again, as opposed to the one time you're going to show me where the great team fell off. And he says, and I'm going to tell you, you're not going to find many great teams at something that completely fall off. Not without injury being part of the situation.
That's good news for the Eagles then.
And Stink will join us before the season. He's all over the Birds. He's all like he thinks they are.
Well, there's a shock, right? I mean, a former offensive lineman,
exactly
loving a team with arguably the best offensive line core in football.
But he loves Sirianni. He loves the front office. He loves. There's nothing. And you know what's funny is that he's very sort of a good dude when he hangs out with us. He's very good. Stink is not overly like he'll come with negative opinions, and he loves the Eagles.
I just loved hearing him talk about. I think it was either Mailata.
Oh yeah,
I want to say it was Mailata. He's like, Jesus,
I put the sock in the door.
Put the tie on the door and tell the wife to stay away.
He was.
The guy is away with words,
and I can tell you, without being a spoiler alert, he thinks Jordan Mailata last year. He said that shoulder, and I guess he got to do 3 Eagles games or 2, and he said that injury held him up all year.
Yeah, he definitely was not.
He said it's not Jordan Mailata,
the player we saw last year, and the idea that Jordan Mailata would have regressed when he's only played football for a couple of years didn't make a lot of sense. He had to deal with that injury all season long. So, I'm excited to see him come back healthy. I would like to see them add a little more offensive line depth. They added Dennis Kelly, but I'd still like more.
Here's one from Wayne in Bucks County. Wayne in Bucks County is a smart guy because I sort of felt the same thing. Wayne, I don't know you, but I think you're smart. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, gentlemen. I love the idea of the injuries. That supersedes the one that I thought of initially, but mine was the one thing that I find it difficult to believe that they'll replicate is the number of sacks they had last year.
Well, I think the thing is, though, Wayne, here's why, and I've got something for this later in the week, but I'll preview it a little bit. They had a lot of fourth quarter sacks. They had a lot of last 10 minutes of the game sacks. And I think here's the deal. Even if their sack numbers went down by 15 this year, most years they'd still lead the NFL. If it went down from 70 to 55, 55 may lead the NFL many seasons.
Understood. It's just the one thing that popped in my mind the second you said it.
How are you feeling about it? I mean, are you comfortable? Like Connor's very comfortable with the Eagles being considered like one of the great teams, one of the real, and I find it sort of uncomfortable. I think it's a generational thing.
I've grown into it. I'm 50, so I'm like your age, and I grew up through the dreadful times. But I think I've come to the realization, and I think Jalen Hurts got me there after last year, because I was really not a Hurts fan before the year began last year, and he won me over, and I believe that his work ethic could produce some continued growth from him. And I think I'm pretty comfortable with the Eagles being considered a really good team.
Are you coming to FanFest, Wayne?
I am not.
Can we get you there? Can we lure you there?
No, I appreciate the offer, but I have another event.
Okay. Well, then next year, Wayne, I expect to see you. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Thanks, man. But Pat, that's sort of like so Wayne was like you and Jamie last year.
Yeah,
you weren't a believer, but he made you a believer.
Yeah, a year ago I was very down on him. Figured that we would be talking
drafting a quarterback, trading.
This time we'd be talking about winning Anthony Richardson or I don't know, one of the quarterbacks.
By the way,
takes over.
I trust Anthony's eye on college football. Anthony's love of college football is very similar to mine. Like he loves Saturday afternoons. He loves college football, and we absolutely are diametrically opposed on one guy, Anthony Richardson.
So what's your
one
take
of us is going to be right. I think he's completely inaccurate. And if it's something I don't like about a college quarterback, inaccuracy. I don't like a guy who doesn't know where the football's going.
Yeah.
Especially in the NFL where the windows just get tighter and tighter. Do I think Shane Steichen can work with him and make him better? Sure. I never would have taken him with a top 5 pick. And I trust Anthony, though. Like, Anthony's a huge college football fan. And I trust he loves Anthony Richardson. He's very intrigued by him. I'm not intrigued by him. Watching him play in the SEC, watching him sail balls, I think he's going to be in big trouble.
Unfortunately, the sample on that one has been infected a little bit with the Jonathan Taylor situation. If you're a player for the Indianapolis Colts right now and you hear Jim Irsay come out and say that about Jonathan Taylor, how does that make you feel about playing for that franchise?
I think it makes you. I think honestly, those are businessmen who understand that running backs just aren't getting paid?
No, it's not about not getting paid. It's about Jim Irsay coming out and saying he can leave the league tomorrow and no one's going to care. Like, how would that make you feel if you're another player on that team?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Like, I don't care about him not getting paid. And now this whole stuff with, did he have a back injury, or are they just making that up to try and get him?
There ain't any way the Colts made that up. And I don't care what Jonathan Taylor's trying to spin. There is no way that the Colts said he told us he had a back injury and they made that up. There's no way they did. They could lose their franchise over that. There's no way they did that. He was trying to play. I guarantee they wouldn't do that. They could lose your franchise.
Listen,
they're not doing that. He said something about, well, my back's probably hurting me.
I watched a guy in Dan Snyder take like 7 years to get kicked out of his franchise after having all this stuff come out against him. Like, I'm not saying they're lying about it. I'm just saying that franchise, with the way that the owner is handling that situation with their running back, and a very good one, would make me think twice as a player about being there.
Pat, did you see what Irsay did at training camp, though? He's been doing every day?
No.
Oh, you didn't see this?
No. What did he do?
Do you know this?
No.
He's been coming with like $3,000 or $4,000 in cash and just randomly giving cash to fans.
Oh, that's
who
cool.
Came out to support his team.
All right, I'll finally go to training camp.
The other day, he gave a guy $2,000 cash.
You finally convinced me to go watch training camp.
He's like, you came out, you're loyal, and he like talks to them, has a conversation. Where do you sit? I sit in 117. Oh, really? Everything. And then he throws somebody, here's $500.
I would hate that.
You would hate that?
Why would you hate your... Why would you hate that?
You would hate Jeffrey Lurie handing you $500.
I think that's eyewash to the max degree. Do you know what Jonathan...
To the max? Gag me with a spoon.
Do you know what John Middleton does? He goes out and talks to people. He doesn't have
and
to
that's what he's doing, too.
He doesn't have to throw him cash because he's not trying to buy your fandom. He puts a good product on the field. That tells me, hey, we haven't won anything. We're hanging AFC divisional round banners in our stadium because we can't compete. And I'm going to try and pay you at training camp to root for this team.
I'm sorry. Connor, you're good at this thing that we do. That might be the dumbest opinion you've ever had.
Really? Fans would love this.
I've met
if John Middleton was giving out $20.
John Middleton, I've met him down at the stadium. I think it's probably the coolest thing is you can actually meet the guy spending the money, the owner. He's willing to talk to the
personable.
Fan. He's personable, yeah. He'll sit there, sign autographs, kiss babies, take pictures. I had a conversation with the guy. It was cool. I walked away. If that guy had also handed me $500, I'm not complaining about it.
I mean, I can't believe you find this as a negative.
We're going to pretend.
By the way, the Colts sell out every game. So, I mean, they love the Colts.
This isn't Jacksonville.
They're not the Colts. You're saying you're saying Jim Irsay, they love the Colts.
Yeah.
And though their owner is a bit of a J.O. at times, they're not displeased. Like, they don't displeased with the product. They support that team vibrantly.
You'd love it if John
Middleton
should be
handed you
$20.
You'd love it if Middleton gave you $100.
That's not the point. Is not the money. The point is the message that it sends to pay fans to.
He's not paying. He's thanking them.
He's thanking them for the loyalty.
He's thanking them for the loyalty and reaching in and just going here.
Let me ask you, how is it any different than the Phillies giving the Fandemic crew season tickets when we came back from the pandemic? It's a thank you. Thank you for being loyal. Thank you for coming out and supporting our product that we know has not been great recently.
And doing something above and beyond.
The value is about, for 4 tickets, it's $5,000.
I don't know, man. That feels like a super weird look to me.
It's weird. It's weird.
That Fandemic crew, by the way, every time, Pat, I've gotten to run into probably 6 or 7 of them at different events. I really wish that I had gotten to do that. Like, hang out with them for a game. Like, they were really fun people.
They're still down there.
Yeah, they are. They're still down there.
You can sit with the people.
I'll go sit with the people sometime. Let's get to it after chemo. Don't want to be catching anything. All right, Pat, I had to get to this, and I wanted to get to it before the end of the show. You had an observation about something that I've always wondered about, and I wanted to get to it before the end of the show. Fun way to end it.
So I was driving on 76, which is always
you hate 76.
And for those that might have listened on Saturday, I do apologize because I did bring this up with Silvana too. And there was a truck in front of me that had a sticker that said, "How's my driving?" with a number on it.
Right.
His driving wasn't great. And
was he cutting you off or anything? Or
he's driving a tractor trailer, so it's not exactly an easy road to maneuver a tractor trailer. So when I say his driving wasn't great, it was just probably my fear that it would end up coming into my lane.
Are you that person?
What do you mean?
when the truck's next to you, you're like, you have to like, until you get by that truck, you're like sort of freaked out a little bit?
I get
That's my wife.
I get a little on edge until I get through the area, especially if we're on a turn. So, but the guy had the sticker of how's my driving. It wasn't a situation of I'm going to call because, as I said, it's really my fear more than anything, recognizing that he's dealing with a huge vehicle. But I always wondered, does anybody ever call those things
Karens
with a positive message?
Oh, a positive message.
Have any drivers ever gotten a how's my driving call that's that guy's great? He used his blinker. He turned in a timely manner. He was exceptional. He didn't slam on the brakes. Like, I feel bad for these drivers that have to drive around with the stupid
Because
sticker.
someone could just be a jerk to them.
Yeah. And
someone that didn't like whatever.
And I'm sure it's a situation of, hey, one call, no big deal. They get 10 calls about the same guy. All right, let's try to reevaluate. And I think the idea of it at first was good. It's to figure out if the company's drivers are good or not. But nobody's ever calling these damn things to compliment the guys. I'm kind of tempted next time I'm on 76, start dialing that number and start praising that guy. I'm genuinely curious if anyone's ever called the how's my driving
I think
number.
most people are the people who would pick up the phone and call are the JOs.
Yeah, they're the people that are complaining.
I'm gonna rip this guy. I'm gonna get this guy fired.
Yeah,
I'm gonna, I think it would be JOs.
But if
I love this,
if you drive by the guy and you have no problem with it, you should probably dial that phone number and say, just to let you know, your dude's flourishing out here.
But I'd have to drop behind them to get the number again.
Well, but you could do that and then speed up. I mean, yes, it's a little bit of a sacrifice on your end, but it's making somebody's day.
I like this observation very much, though. Because I always wonder about that sticker.
I also wonder what's the line where we're really going to dial that number to call
about complaining
about the driver. Now, if the person just cut you off, like I had a tractor trailer just run me off the road one time.
Did you call?
No, I just honked my horn and yelled, cursed, and said stuff. The guy, I don't know if I was on his blind spot, but I was honking and he just didn't hear me, and then I ended up on the side of the road.
Okay,
but I probably still that one I might have called, but that would have been though, because I don't want to be labeled as a Karen, as you said.
But you would have been worthy of calling on that one.
Oh,
someone drives you off the road.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a situation. Like, you cut me off, fine, whatever. It happens, and especially with tractor trailers because they have trouble getting over anyway. Nobody wants to let a tractor trailer over.
I think of that number though, calling that number and everything, because the other day we were laughing at we were watching TV as a family, and the Dr. Rick, is it Dr. Rick, who helps people not become their parents?
Yeah.
Okay, young people not become their parents, and Liv's laughing at it. I said, "What are you laughing at?" Like so much, and I said, she goes, "Oh, you don't do that." I said, "It's a great commercial." I said, if you're making commercials of your dad, what does he do that you'll tell your kids that like Dr. Rick would have helped them with?"
Do we get to answer?
Yeah, you can do it. She goes, she said, Dad has to be like, if we're leaving at 4:00, we're not leaving at 4:01.
Yep.
She's like, you're not leaving at 4:01. I can tell you're perturbed. That if we're leaving at 4:01, you're pissed that we're leaving at 4:01. And I said, okay, guilty. I'll live with that one.
Yeah, you're not going to argue that.
She said, I can't argue.
My dad was very similar in that sense.
All right, Connor, go on.
Oh no, I've been like I was since I was 12.
No, mine.
So.
No,
I know. I'm thinking. I was going to throw it to Pat.
There's just so many of them.
Yeah, there's so many. Well, she was like, she said that you asked and it was one of the commercials. I said, I think they used this. I always ask a server their name.
Oh, yeah.
They're not your friend.
I always ask a server.
They're there to take your order. They are not your friend.
It's because I don't want to address them. Hey, first of all, nothing worse. Honey, sweetie.
No.
I hear guys 10, 15 years younger than me. Honey, hey, hun, or whatever. And I'm like, dude, really?
I'm very particular.
And I do not like signaling servers with fingers.
I'm embarrassed.
So I think a name helps you not have to do that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They usually introduce themselves when they get to the table.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, it depends on where you're at. Now, PJs, they always do.
Yeah.
Because when you're there, you're family.
Yeah, you just go to the Oaks and drop my name, and you're all set.
Oh, they love you.
Ask for Morgan.
What about you? You have any, Connor?
Yeah, well, if we're talking you, John,
yes.
Maybe every time someone names an old TV show, the theme song doesn't have to be sung.
That's a great one.
No, but it does, though. But it doesn't.
But it doesn't.
See, you don't know the rules.
You don't know the rules.
No, see, I'm telling you the rules. We're trying to teach you. I'm trying to be delicate about this.
You don't know the rules that every single TV theme song is in my database.
That's the 29th Amendment.
We know it's there. Okay?
Exactly.
A lot of stuff exists on the internet.
It's a law.
All doesn't have to come up when I Google one thing.
That's the perfect response.
That's a
no,
great.
it does. It needs to be said.
It does need to be said.
I love the commitment to the need for it.
Yes, it is.
The necessity of it. I assure you, it's not necessary.
You're sure?
I can assure you
that it's not, because it is there. Yeah, Pat, you have another one?
Yeah. Every story does not need to be repeated.
To be what I seen.
You repeat yourself.
Well, I do repeat myself,
Yeah,
but
it doesn't need to be repeated.
Like Johnny 2 times. Wait,
that's what I mean. You don't realize you're doing it, but yeah, that's what it is.
Well, that's why Johnny 2 times should be the.
I'm not going to hit it, but
no, you should.
I don't.
And by the way,
doing that.
By the way, have I told you to?
But here's the thing. There's certain
things
things that I have no problem making fun of you for. In that situation, I kind of just let it go.
Well, the one thing is that the one thing
I'm not going to highlight every single time.
Well, the one thing I would say to you is that the audience is always changing.
Yeah,
but still, I don't know.
No, but again,
some of the stuff I just feel like.
But take people behind the curtain. I have told you to do it.
Not only has he told you, he's probably told you twice.
Exactly.
He absolutely told me twice. No,
Connor wins that.
Out of all of the main hosts, you probably have. You do. You're the easiest to deal with in terms of making fun of yourself. You're very open to that.
Well, I give a lot of material.
For whatever reason, that one I don't know. I don't want to hit that one.
I give up a lot of. No, but you can.
I know I can, but I don't.
I give you a lot of material.
You there you go. Say it again. Say it for a fourth time.
He's doing that. So hey, Phillies face the Marlins tonight. I'll say it right as we leave here. Suarez. If I tell you he gets 15 and a half outs. Over under.
Over.
Under.
Ooh.
He hasn't been efficient lately, but they win the game tonight. I think they do win the game.
So he's going to throw 5 innings. They're going to win?
Yeah, I think they're going to win tonight.
Cool.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, Carney All Seasons, and make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 97.5thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Again, thank you to everybody who came out yesterday for the inaugural the Fanatic Golf Classic. It was awesome. Charity Golf Classic benefiting the AACR, and we really appreciate you again. Citadel Credit Union, that was really, really cool. We loved having you and all of our great advertisers, and everybody's still talking about every one of you. We'll be back tomorrow.